Hey guys, I'm Reggie Brock, and for the last 40 years, I have dedicated my life to helping companies build cultures nobody ever wants to leave. If that's of interest to you, we can build a destination business together. You're going to walk away with a process I have been using for the last 40 years to correct some of these challenges that I know you're facing in your business. So the plan for this video today has three components to it. Number one, I'm going to give you a go-through diagnostic strategy. Number two, I'm going to give you two frameworks that you can use to implement today in your business. And number three, if you need more information, I'm going to give you the opportunity to reach out for more help inside the description below. Look forward to hearing from you.
All right, so we're going to look at first here, Reggie, is when a roofing company is coming to you, how are they typically speaking? How are the problems that you help them solve currently showing up? What are the words? What does it sound like? What does it look like? What does that look like for you?
So most of the time, this is what I'm hearing language-wise that we share that immediately creates a level of connection, and that is my people are just not engaged.
Okay.
Like they seem to be moving further and further away from each other. That's the big one. Number two, there is no interest in collaboration. They just want their lane, run their lane, do their thing, check the boxes, go home, get paid Friday.
Okay.
And then communication becomes something that is very difficult for them to master.
Okay.
Whereas communication becomes more about frequency
Mhm.
than about accuracy. And so
Okay.
we use a lot of words, but we're not saying anything, which is what I'm going to try to avoid today. So communication becomes a challenge for people to be able to articulate the message in short version and get movement from that short version instead of losing people in these long conversations that we have that go nowhere. The next thing is there's a lack of clarity. Everybody is guessing about
Okay.
where they should be, what they should be doing, and how they should be doing it. Or in other words, what's good really look like. People don't have a real
What's good?
clarity.
OKR wise, roll sheet wise,
All of
good
it.
for
Like
success.
that's the whole point is what does good, they're not the ones that are, meaning the employee staff wise are not usually the ones that are driving the vision. It's people that are driving the vision that need to be very, very clear in terms of explanation and rollout to the people who are actually executing on the vision. So the clarity I'm talking about is where people walk in every day and know where I'm to go and then where we're going together.
Okay. So their individual role
Yeah.
and
Collectively.
collective.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how does what I do individually affect what we do together?
How can I help collective?
Yeah. What does my contribution really mean here? Because generally the people who leave are people who don't feel seen and heard. And secondly, like, this is not where I belong.
Yeah.
So if you're not acknowledging in sincerity,
Okay.
like their contribution, they're going to find somewhere that somebody will see it. And that's why we're seeing so much this quiet quitting that I talk about, we can talk about later, but it's just where people start realizing, dude, if I show up tomorrow night, it ain't going to matter. And when people get of that mindset, that drift starts happening.
Okay.
And then the final thing is, I think that we just have lost the art form, and businesses are losing this ability to get people to actually collaborate together. And collaboration to me is this: how do we put what we are individually together that produces something that impossible is alone? Think about it.
Okay.
So a perfect example, my wife and I have been married 37 years. Before we got married, we started talking about the things that would not just cause us to want to marry, but to stay married. And so we started talking about money, and we started about we're going to church and all those things that everybody talks about. And then we got to children, and both of us wanted children. But at our ages, it was like, okay, we can't wait a whole lot longer to do this. My point is this: my wife, Connie, could have hoped, could have prayed, could have wished for a child. But until me or somebody like me came along, that dream was impossible.
Yeah.
So there is gained ground through collaboration, intentional crossing of what I call DNA that produces something together that we can't do individually. See, we're doing great things running our separate tracks. We hire great, talented people and they do their thing, but there's never an intersection. So when we got married, we now have a son because both of us decided together that's what we wanted, and it produced something she couldn't do by herself, nor could I. That's collaboration. When we are willing to share ourselves with one another and our talents, our gifts, and our abilities, it naturally produces something that is impossible for James or Reggie to do by themselves. That's collaboration. Collaboration says not just, yeah, they're together, but they're producing something that alone is impossible. And that is the field of opportunity for me, I see with companies, is what can we do together? And who would do it best together to create something that we don't even see visibly right now? That's where the power of collaboration shows up.
Okay, so it seems to me like you're saying, hey, the sum together is greater than what the parts are.
Yeah.
Standalone. There is something more than just 1 + 1 = 2. Somehow 1 + 1 is equaling 4.
Right.
Okay.
And that's the gained ground that nobody's chasing right now, because we're just so isolated and we're just so far from each other. And so if we can get people, and one of the heart cries that I hear from business owners is, man, my people don't like even being in the same room with each other.
Like production doesn't like being with sales, doesn't like being with ops.
That's
like
right.
Being with
Back office.
Okay.
I got owners who don't really feel like, because they've been told, owners kind of isolate themselves. They're visionaries. They're all that other. And so you just got to delegate everything.
Yeah.
And when they start delegating everything, and I'm not saying that's not important, but if you lose touch with the humanity, or what I call the spirit of the business, which are your people, you're just creating a level of isolation, not just between you and them, but a pattern inside the organization.
Yeah.
And when an owner starts patterning that kind of behavior, that's what happens to the rank and file, so to speak. They just start thinking, I'm going to do it myself. That's really what's required of me. Here's my checklist. I got 5 sales this week. Now I'm just moving on. It doesn't matter that I didn't take enough pictures for the production team to be able to actually do the job. I sold it. Now I'm going to move on. There's no collaborative spirit found much in many businesses.
Okay. And so going back to some of the things that you mentioned here about current situation with there being a lack of collaboration, when an owner or a sales manager or someone else in the business comes to you and you can tell that their team is not engaged, what is the phrase or the question that they typically ask you? Not how we handle it, but how is this coming to you in question? Hey, Reggie, I've got da-da-da-da-da.
Most of the time, here's what I'm hearing.
Yep.
My people are not willing to follow me. And my response to them is, why not? So I don't really try to produce as many answers as I do questions that ignite the right kind of conversation.
Yep.
Inside of these people who find their employees are disengaged is because their leader is.
Yep.
So that's kind of the questions that I get is, why is it that my people, it's like, they don't want to follow my directions. Well, some of the reason is because your level of engagement with them probably is not where it needs to be to create enough pattern that they'll follow. And so I'm telling you, people still follow leaders. And if you look around and nobody's following you, don't call yourself a leader.
Yeah. So when that does happen, they say, hey, my people won't follow me. Do you find that that's more a symptom, or is that more of a root there?
Everything I believe is a root. Everything. Okay. So most people deal with just surface level issues. I get that.
Yep.
Well, my wife and I, again, we were living in Burleson, Texas.
Yep.
Never forget this. And my nephew, if you're watching this, young man, do better. My nephew, he had a rental house while ours was being built that we lived in. Well, he didn't really care about the yard.
Yep.
I did. She did. And these weeds would pop up in the front yard left and right all the time. So one day I'm looking at the front yard, and my wife doesn't play golf, but she kind of wants to play golf.
Okay.
And I said, hey, honey, go get my pitching wedge. Let's go out to the front yard. And she literally, I got a video of it. She literally sat there and took that pitching wedge. And for 20 minutes in the front yard, she just took that little wedge and started. I said, just like you're sweeping the floor. Hit that just right off the top. And what happened is about 15 minutes later, there wasn't a weed in the yard. Not one weed in the yard.
Yeah.
2 days later, every one of them was back.
Yeah.
You know why? She dealt with only what we could see.
Yeah.
What was causing the problem was what she couldn't see, that root. Okay. And what I find is when there's disengagement or some of these other challenges, these are all roots. We just see stuff on the surface. We're not really willing to dig deeper into the ground to pull out the root and replant.
Yeah.
So all of these, they're root issues, they're core problems. and we're trying to deal with things at a very too high of a surface level.
Yeah. Okay. No, I like that. So when this does happen, and owner, is it typically owners coming to you? Is it sales manager?
Leaders, I mean, it's just
leadership in general.
Yeah, just in general.
And if you have someone that maybe will go S for sales, P for production, will go O for ops, will go B for back of office. If a sales leader comes to you and is speaking like this, do you typically see in that same org that the rest of them are seeing the same thing, or is it department specific?
You know, and a lot of it has to do with their motivation, how they show up to work every day, and different really different, you know, sales, production, operations, or in back office. There's usually a different chemistry inside of every one of them. I mean, they just show up
motivated by different things.
Yeah, and so
some like money.
That's right.
Some like doing a great job, providing experience. Some like to be helpful.
Yeah,
right. You know, some like to be protectors.
Right.
Yeah, everyone's a little bit different in here.
So just because sales is feeling it doesn't mean these others are.
Yeah.
So I usually get different feedback of frustration from different levels based upon the role inside the company.
Okay. Now here's an interesting question. If we were to go one up, and let's say visionary comes to you, right? Owner, with all of these people under them. If visionary is communicating that they're struggling, do you then typically see all of them also struggling?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. And the sorting is what separates people. Like, how do they take the voice of the vision, so to speak?
Yeah.
And then how do they articulate that and cascade that into their particular silo, right? And
so how they take, hey, our mission, vision, and values from visionary, from owner, this, how does that materialize for the sales department? How does that materialize for production, operations, back office?
Yeah.
Okay. So visionary is out there, and where that everyone's struggling, but you may find organizations sometimes where just one department is struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. But it doesn't last long, because usually
the org doesn't last long, or the problem?
The problem.
Okay.
When you said if it's just in one problem, it's like a disease. If it just takes one opening into the organization.
If it happens in sales, eventually it's going
to metastasize.
Okay.
Right. And it just may start here, but eventually it just cascades throughout the organization.
Okay.
That friction is just looking for an entry.
Yep.
It doesn't matter where. And whether that entry happens, it gets into the bloodstream of the business, so to speak, and then all of a sudden it's rampant. It's in stage 4. This thing is about over kind of deal. What we think is important to do is to catch this early.
Yep.
And you know, we have tools that we can talk about later that kind of accomplish that. But that's what happens is it might not be like sales might be okay with it today, this visionary message, but ops is not. And then back office starts feeling it because this pressure surfaces and it shows up in these relationship builds. So ops then starts meeting with sales, and this thing that just won't go away now is transmitted.
So the interplay back between the departments is where then it takes, like, ops is having a bad time. They communicate that frustration intentionally or unintentionally to another department, one direction. Here we go. Now we've got 2.
Yep.
And then we've got 3. And then we've got all 4.
And then now we got some out of control.
Okay.
And then that's where you start seeing dismantling happening and disconnection. These people just going like, no, this isn't for me anymore. But it always starts quietly. And it usually starts in one particular place or even with one particular person. And it shows signals and sign. But most people are just like, they're not real comfortable, or they're trying to figure things out, not a big deal. And then all of a sudden that frustration and that friction starts building more and more and more. And like it starts spilling over. And once it starts spilling over into this corporate bloodstream, dude, we're in trouble.
Okay.
And so I may get someone saying, hey, our people just don't feel like I can't get our people engaged and headed in the same direction. I don't really necessarily try to find the source of it, but I find out how far it's traveled inside of the organization.
So lymph node that it started with, less important to you than where all.
Yeah. Where are we now?
Okay.
Where are we now? If this has been a problem, I mean, I worked with a company not long ago who their management team had been together 9 years. Hated being in the room with each other.
And like their leaders here across the department.
Yeah, this is the exact scenario. They could not literally stand to be in, and they were a $50 million roofing company.
It's crazy.
And finally, the owner came to me, and he goes like, congratulations. She said, on what? I said, $50 million. He said, do you know how many problems I have because of that $50 million?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden we think sometimes that revenue will fix all of this. No, it doesn't. And so if we don't understand where the seep is and what's caused it, and more importantly, how to stop it, it just culturally starts ruining us. And that's what I see more than anything else.
Who's typically more to blame in this, in your opinion? This person or these people?
So I think some of it's accidental. I
Okay.
think that some things happen that we just ignore. That's a visionary problem.
Okay.
Where we're just like,
Will we accept a standard that
yeah.
does not match the vision?
Absolutely.
That's top leader.
That's it.
Okay.
And so what I think, I don't think it's an either or here.
Yep.
I think that what happens is sometimes a vision, a mission, a task is forwarded out to whoever it needs to be, and there's not a watchful eye and an alert system put in place to where we're matching other than just our KPIs.
Yeah.
That's a problem. So what happens is we trust KPIs, in my opinion, you probably ain't gonna like this, way too much to me, because KPIs are simply a history report. This is what's happened.
Also a lag measure. They're not a lead
No,
measure.
exactly. That's history. History is lag.
Yeah.
Like just because I can read a report does not tell me the current health of my business, where these problems really are.
Yeah.
And so what I think has to happen is we've got to get, as leaders of our business, more engaged in what's actually happening that we cannot see, because ultimately it's going to pop its head up. And if you catch it too late, it's catastrophic.
Why do people not treat it as a lead measure instead of lag measure?
Because it's hard work.
Okay.
Like, most people don't want to put the work in.
But so is installing 4,000 roofs a year.
Yeah, but it's easier in one way, because you're not dealing with something most people are very uncomfortable with, how you feel and the way you think. They don't want to deal with that. Yeah, and being vulnerable. They just want James to come in and do his task, his job. And then when James starts that lag process, we're questioning, like, what happened to James? Well, the fact is, he's been sending you signals about things going on in his life that are affecting the performance you're seeing, that have zero to do with this building. It has everything to do with what his life is presenting to him right now. Growing up in business the way I have, I've had leaders tell me my whole life, I don't care how you think, I don't care how you feel, go do your job.
Yeah.
And the generations now are plugged into this notion of, do I belong here? And part of my belonging here is, do you recognize how I'm feeling, thinking? Do you care about my life outside of here? And if you don't, I'll find somewhere will.
Yeah. Do you give a damn outside of the dollars that you pay me at the end of the month?
Exactly. Right. And listen, I believe KPIs are important.
Yep.
But what I do believe are they're incomplete.
Okay. Yeah, it's part of the measure, not the full measure.
But we bank our whole possibility and our future on what these tell us, and we're missing 90%. Forbes magazine did a study on this and said up to 90% of what James and Reggie do today is tied into the way they think and feel about what's going on in their life. So if that's that big a part of you and I don't track that, how is this complete?
Yeah.
And so now there's this new kind of thought process of, okay, now wait a minute. James was up here producing at a high level. He's either lazy or he don't care or he got a bad attitude, because that's why we're seeing this fall off of his production.
Automatic negative intent.
No doubt. And so I believe that if we just took time to understand, hey, James, look, I don't want to get in your business, but I've noticed in the last couple of months, things seem to be not like they have been. Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you start getting information about James just because you cared to ask. Reggie, we're not psychologists or therapists, nor should you be. But what you should be is human. And the humanity of it goes like, James, I don't know what it is, but I've noticed, I can't name it. It just seems like something kind of is off. You want to talk to me about that? And James makes a decision. Now, the second time I come back, James goes like, I'm fine. That lag, fall off, continues. I come to James the second time. Hey, man, look, you've always been someone that I've seen doing this, that, and the other. And I'm not judging you, dude. I'm just asking, can I help?
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely, James starts getting a level of confidence in, well, maybe Reggie's not trying to judge my performance harshly. Maybe he's just trying to find out a little bit more.
Trying to seek understanding, not be critical.
Yeah, dude, understanding is the key.
Yep.
if we understand ourselves and each other, we're going to be able to do things that we never thought possible, but we just don't understand each other enough to ask.
I like this. I like this. When you're talking about clarity missing and what's good,
Yeah.
what percentage, let's say residential, not retail insurance,
Yeah.
whatever, but residential roofing, what percent of companies, if you had to just guess, are running into this problem right here?
Oh, I think the majority of them are.
Well,
Probably
majority 51%, or are we talking more like
65, 70%. I think 65 to 70%. And I base that upon just talking to companies, and they're more than the leadership, the team. And they're just like, hey,
all the way down to like sales rep, PM,
yeah,
etc.
I got up on roofs with people laying shingles.
Mhm.
I'm like, how do you, what is, what are you lacking understanding enough to be able to do this job to the best possibility that you can? They just tell me, like, I don't really know. There's some details that matter that I can't seem to get from the salespeople or some of the others. And that lack of clarity is caused guesswork, and guesswork leads to really bad outcome.
Okay. So 65 to 70%.
Yeah.
And all the way down from leadership down to the bottom. Collaboration is obviously necessary. I'm curious, before we move to kind of next section here.
Yeah.
If we're to take 65 to 70% of all roofers, let's say roofing companies, right, are dealing with this, and they're not calling it what it is, what are they calling it? What are they blaming?
Laziness.
Employees are lazy.
Yeah, are bad attitudes. That's the two common things that I get. They're lazy.
Bad attitude.
That's right. The bad attitude.
Okay.
Those are the two big categories for them.
Okay. Now, a little bit tighter of a question here. If these are the things that they're blaming, how oftentimes are they right versus wrong? Is it still the 70%?
They're wrong probably 90% of the time.
They're wrong more often with this.
Oh, absolutely. Because it's a casual response to a really big challenge that they're overlooking, right? And so it's just, these are easy answers like, man, they're just lazy. The reason James isn't succeeding the way he was is he knocked 50 doors. He should have knocked 100 doors, not 50. Right. And so if James were not so lazy, or James didn't have a bad attitude, James would be successful. And the fact of the matter is, that's right about 10% of the time.
Okay.
The other 90,
deal with volume.
Yeah. And they think that everything changes by more push and hustle and grind, which annoys me more than I can tell you. If you're doing a poor job right now, you're gonna say you're knocking doors.
Yep. Okay.
Got not hit 50 doors. You go out and you don't get on any inspections. What's the purpose of knocking a door, James?
To convert to inspection, to try to sell a job, get from the inspection to proposal to sell a job.
So if you're not getting on any inspections, let's forget about selling and scoping and all that. If your first level of priority is to knock doors to get somebody on inspections, and you're not getting any inspections on 50 knocks, what's the best thing for you to do? 100, Reggie. That's what I hear all. James is just lazy, or James at the door has a bad attitude.
Well, that's, there's a lot of things that can be fixed by volume, but there's many things that cannot. And most of the things that cannot are where people push heaviest. So like, it's just volume.
Right.
Just more.
Yeah.
Just do more.
Right.
You'll figure it out eventually.
Right. And they don't. They don't. And so as a result, that quiet quitting thing starts coming. They're going like, dude, what I need to understand is when James, the other side of the door, answers it, what am I saying that's not engaging to him?
Yeah. What's my tonality? What cadence? What am I triggering? What resistance am I triggering by the way I'm saying this?
That's right. But no, we just knock 100.
You did 50, do 300.
Right.
So you gotta figure it out. You're at 5.
Right. Nonsense.
Something that I have a really big problem with in this industry, and I really don't try to hide it, is I believe that most of the roofing owners that exist in roofing today don't have any personal responsibility. How much of the problems you're talking about come back to ownership, believing that they can abdicate responsibility and not be the person that actually enforces this, and then everyone will just figure it out because they're getting a paycheck and they should?
Yeah, it's over half. I mean, I'm going to at least 50%. And the reason I say that is because I think for there to be a harvest in business, there has to be two things that happen simultaneously. I think number one, there has to be good seed. Okay. And I think the second thing is there has to be good soil. My grandfather told me when I was growing up, I went to their, I spent a lot of summers with him and my grandmother. He had a garden. And my job during the summer was to shuck corn and do all those things inside of his garden. And the last year I was there, one thing I noticed about it is we always had enough food, way more food than we could ever use. He would give it to our extended family and still have bushel full of just other, and he would just give it to the community. I went through this my whole growing up years. And finally, my last summer there, I went to him and I said, Papa, I said, why is it that we have more than enough? He said, my grandfather only went through 5th grade in school. And he said to me something I've never forgot. He said, it's because you don't understand the law of plenty. Now, this was before all these smart people got involved in talking about some of these laws. He said, the law of plenty. And I said, what is that? He said, take a handful of seed right there, son. So I took this seed and I threw it down on, he said, throw it down on that concrete that was on the front yard, in the front yard there. And he said, now go over there. And he called it a hose pipe. Some of your listeners might not know what that is. Garden hose.
Yeah.
And he said, I want you to turn the water hose on and I want you to come over here and I want you to water those seeds that are on that concrete. And I said, that doesn't make sense, Papa. He said, why doesn't it make sense? I said, vegetables cannot grow on concrete. He said, there's the law of plenty. You can't just have good seed. You've got to have good soil to receive it. This is the problem in business right now. We think that 5-star recruit that we have not been able to land, we finally land on. And now we're taking that good seed, that good talent, and we're throwing it on concrete and saying to ourselves, well, if this don't work, we just need more seed. The problem is, Mr. Business Person, you need to spend time developing the seed, the soil of your business that receives that seed properly so that the seed brings that law of plenty into play. And so most owners that I know shirk the responsibility of making sure that the soil is in a receptive mode so that the seed can bring forth its harvest. Without those two ingredients, we don't have plenty. And that's why you see scarcity running around right now. So what we do is this, owners, we'll just go, who's the best salesperson that my competitor over there? And we do everything we can to pour in, to try to lure those people over here.
Coach them.
Absolutely. We'll give them a little bit more money. You don't need to do that. What you need is to have an environment that people show up, they put their talents and their abilities into the dirt with you. And then one day you wake up and go like, aha, now we got more not than we need, but we've got more than what our extended family needs, as well as the community, the law of plenty. You can't have it without good seed and good soil.
I like it. Now that we know what the causes are, we also know how this is showing up in the business. I really want to walk through what they're telling you, these roofing owners, whether they be sales ops, back office or production or visionary. What are they telling you that they're doing about this that absolutely will not work? And
we'll just get a different system or process.
Okay.
They think their problems are system or process related. And so we've been led to believe that probably the reason the people you're failing is you've got a poor CRM or you've got a poor marketing strategy or you poor sales process or something like that. And so what we do is we break our back getting a new system and process only to do it again in 18 months. Much of our problem, the way we're trying to fix it as roofers, is we just think we're one system away. Or one correction in our process away and it'll work. And then as you look back, you go like, well, I've changed this thing 6 times and nothing, you're missing the mark. That's what the problem. So that's the first thing. I think the second thing is we don't realize the impact turnover and poor performance has on our business. So, and the reason is we have bought in, God, this is going to get people mad at me. We bought into this hustle and grind mentality too far to me, where we think everything can be fixed by being more aggressive. We think everything can be fixed by more volume. We think everything can be, and fundamentally that is just not true. Now, am I saying you don't need volume? No. Am I saying you don't need to hustle? No. But that is not the chemotherapy of your problems, because you've already tried 17,000 different ways to change this stuff and you're getting the same outcome. And then the other thing is we've bought into this notion that we're just going to lose people and we should expect it. This is a big one. So I think what's happening is we believe that we can out-recruit our problems. If you have more people, it'll go away. I've heard that a jillion times inside of businesses. People are like, we just need more people. Really? So talk to me about the people you've had
Yeah.
and why they're not here. See, we're asking the wrong question, James. And the question that we're asking is, why are people leaving? The best question is, why would they stay? And so for me, there is this overemphasis on, we just need more people. I want to help people to understand that the people that they had, if maybe they would have been differently treated, you might not be looking for this new bunch of people coming in. And so I think that's a big problem right now, is they think they can just out-recruit the problem, and they never can, because they're not really fixing the problems.
So we've got people attrition. We've got, hey, owners and leaders saying we just need a new SOP, or just hustle, grind.
Yeah.
Or we'll just go take the best people somewhere else. I really like your analogy when talking about can't grow vegetables on concrete.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. And it makes a lot of sense. What you can do, though, that's interesting is if you put vegetables in the right soil, you can take someone that was not a killer somewhere else and turn them into one.
No doubt. And how do you do that?
I mean, it's a lot of things, right? There's a lot of things that you have to do that. I guess what I'm curious about here, though, with these things, all of these, maybe I'm oversimplifying, all of these sound like a leadership problem to me. All of these sound like the owner, right, or founder or operator or what have you, is missing self-development. What do you think about that?
So I think we live in a world where knowledge is plentiful.
Yep.
And so this is the other thing I think that we do. So we will, as roofing owners, we want to find someone new who has an answer that we've been looking for 20 years. We've read book after book after book after book. We've been to conference after conference with good information.
Yep.
So ask yourself this: do we lack knowledge about how to correct problems, or do we lack the understanding to extract the knowledge needed to make the change in our business? So I'll get guys call me regularly and go like, "Hey, I'm looking at 4 different conferences next year, and they're so expensive. I'm trying to figure out what the best one." And this is, James, every time this happens, this is what I say: "What's the last conference you went to?" They'll tell me. So what was one thing? What was one speaker? Did you find one speaker there, James, that you just loved? And James goes, "Oh, there was a bunch of them." No. I just want one of them. Just one of them. "Oh yeah, I heard Jim Johnson speak, and Jim told me this." Well, what was it about Jim in particular that he said that you took and used? "Oh, there was so much written." No. What was the one thing you took from Jim's talk that you went and used in your business that created lift or freedom from some kind of challenge that was holding you back? "Reggie, what's the next book I ought to read?" "What's the last book you read?" Knowledge doubles every 12 hours.
Yeah.
Every 12 hours, knowledge is doubling. We don't have a knowledge problem. What we have is a understanding and usability problem. And so I think what you're saying in reference to this, knowledge is good, but if we're not careful, it'll blindside us because we're chasing the wrong thing. This is not, we've got all the knowledge that we need. What we lack is the ability to execute. And so what I try to get people to focus on is that, great, take your knowledge, but more importantly, what's the one thing you can try and do today that is going to make a beginning difference in where you're headed tomorrow? Period. I had a friend of mine, I call his name, you'd know him, asked me to come speak at a conference in his town. And I went up there, and I'm sorry, when I called, I said, "Yeah, man, I'd love to." He said, "But one stipulation, Reggie." "Okay." "We need to find somebody who can fill the room because you can't."
Oh.
I'm like, "That's exactly what I said." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Again, why did you call me?" "Oh, no. I love what you do, but we need somebody who can come in and give them a tool that they can use tomorrow, or they're not interested." Reggie, yours takes work and time. There's a problem. Most people are looking for something now today that I can use, that I can see an ROI on tomorrow. And I think it's caused us to lose sight of just being practical and usable and just one step at a time, and let's apply it before we move on.
That's interesting, because I don't think so to me, it feels like it's like a couple things there. Yes, people's attention spans are shorter.
Yeah.
Yes, they want a tool to apply tomorrow. But what I think is at kind of the heart of what you're saying more is that people want to feel like they achieve something by getting more information without actually applying anything at all.
And the question then becomes, what's the value to that? Like, I'm smarter than I've ever been, but how's it impacted the people that come to work and trust me and need me and want me?
Yeah.
It's just different. So I believe that we all should develop more and grow and become, but at the end of the day, for what purpose?
Yeah.
Is it just, for what purpose? Why are we developing ourselves? As leaders, we should be developing ourselves so that we can pour into the people who come to work every day and execute on what we do. That's why I tell people, watch the ground. Just make for sure that whatever you're doing has this appeal to the people who've staked their lives to yours.
Yeah.
And how do we make that come together?
Dependent on you for their payroll, dependent on you for healthcare, dependent on you for a job. You can't be taking risks that don't serve them, that serve you,
Right.
that make this business go out of business.
Even if it's about self-development.
Yeah.
I don't like that term. And I know it's,
I would say that's clear, but you were smart.
I know. But even like personal development, I get that. But the outcome of it is what I'm looking differently at. And that is, okay, if I want to get more self-developed, for what?
Yeah. For me, the reason why I even brought this up was to be the leader.
Yeah.
Worth following.
Sure.
Because that is where I see, and maybe I'm wrong, and please correct me. That's where I see in this industry, we have a lot of owners wanting their people to care about it as much as they do, wanting them to sell as much as they could, wanting them to install as cleanly as they could when they did it for 20 years for their daddy.
Yeah.
But if you're not a leader that is worth following, why would anyone, much less the other things where we have like interdepartmental problems. But if you're not a leader that anyone wants to follow, how are you going to get anywhere where you're trying to get?
Yeah. I think another situation that we face are owners have this idea that people are here to serve my vision. And the fact of the matter is, I saw Gary Vee said this and I'm not a big follower of Gary Vee, but I saw him say this and I'm like, this is really cool. He said, when I get, and he must be, he has this huge business and huge following.
$340 million a year is what his agency does.
There you go.
Yeah.
So now need to pay attention to him a little bit. And one of the things he said was this: these people don't work for me. I work for them. He said they could go anywhere and do anything. As an owner, how am I presenting this opportunity to them to serve them as opposed to me? And most people I know, they build a business to serve their own wants and needs and desires. And I just got little pieces that need to fix into it, that once that happens and I get where I want to get, now private equity comes in and pays me, but leaves everybody hanging. It's a recipe for disaster. And so, I think that we've got to be mindful of what this really looks like in terms of the impact it has on our people.
Yeah. I think I know maybe one of the videos you're talking about where Gary's like, he's screaming into the mic, right? Guys, someone asked a dumb question about like, how do I get my employees to work as much as I do? How do I get my employees to care as much? And he's like, you don't. So they don't work for you. You work for them.
Right.
Right.
It's a great principle.
Absolutely.
Hard to practice for many, but it's a great principle.
Any other things that you see roofing owners doing to try to solve the culture problem that they're doing incorrectly that they come to you with, that you're like, come on, dude?
Yeah, the only thing that just keeps popping in my head is this whole notion of like, do people really feel like they're a part of something that they can actually develop into without leaving? Now, let me get, that wasn't real clear. So
I think it was clear.
I spoke recently at an event called South by Southwest. Huge event in Texas. I had no business being there. No business being there.
I don't believe that statement, but okay.
So when I'm at a conference like that, I love going in and watching the audience before I get on stage. And so I was watching them with all these other people, and this room was full of the most creative, technically brilliant people on the planet. Like, this was crazy. These people that work for Fortune 100 companies, 20, it was just so I'm going like, I have no business being in this room. And I got up and it dawned on me like 10 minutes before I spoke, I got to shift this some way. And so,
because you had something prepped that
I was prepped, like I was
ready to go.
Ready to go.
You sat in on that, then you're thinking, hey, this isn't going to land the way I need it to.
And
the way they need it to.
Yeah.
And so you had to switch up.
yeah, about 30 minutes before the event, I started walking around seeing some people that were there that weren't in that meeting that I was about to speak in. And I said, I got to ask you something. You did not, where did you work before? Google. I worked at this place, I mean, highly
Games.
big names. And I'm like, I'm sure a compensation plan. Oh, money was never the issue. We made plenty of money.
You had options, you had equity, you
It
had
all.
whatever. Yeah.
You're leading me to my point, sir. Why would you leave?
Yeah.
Got all the money you want. If this is about money, why'd you leave? You got risk associated with starting your own thing, yet you still sit in this room.
Yeah.
A room full of creative entrepreneurs. That's what that room was. And so when I got up on stage, this is what I said. This was my opening hook. I said, the thing you need to be careful of is that you're not building something you already left. And they were doing this like, what does that mean? I said, what that means is this. You didn't leave because of poor compensation or you loved the people, everything. I mean, you had your own ping pong table. Like,
that's like the best talent in the world that you're working side by side with.
Why would you, right? And this was their response. The reason I left was for one reason and one reason only. What I was becoming was not available there. Think about that. It's not that I don't like where I'm at, but who I'm becoming, I'm not capable of becoming where I'm at. Companies make a big mistake of not having enough soil prepared for everybody to grow. I heard you and Jake, Bradley, talk about this. If you're in a room, if your dream can't support the dream, something like that, of others, they're not going to stay. That was the approach I saw. It's like, how can we build businesses that people see themselves never doing what they want to do without me?
We provide space for them to be in their zone of genius and grow to the highest heights. But they never have to leave me to do it.
Yeah. So you don't have to take on the risk. I'm going to risk it with you.
And in fact, I'm going to have most of the risk prior to you being here and provide you the soil to grow where you want to grow here without ever having to.
Yeah. I hear that a lot with companies. It's like, they got the greatest compensation plan that they could ever have here. You're just not seeing what they really want. It's not always about the money. It's about,
for most people, it's not.
Am I becoming?
Yeah.
And does this assist me? And all we're worried about is, I hear this all the time, we're just training our next competition. Right. You are, because that's the way you see things.
Yeah.
You should be in a place to where, is this an opportunity to create partnership and growth and development and collaborations that moves the collective forward? I never want you to leave. This is my war cry.
Yeah.
Build a culture where people, you hear this resounding in all the four walls you're in, where it says this, see y'all tomorrow. I want to come back. I choose to come back. And when that voice gets larger and larger and larger, it has this magnetic pull to it. We are good at attracting people. We are horrible at keeping them. And it's because we're not mindful of the environment and the experience that people have, because that experience that they have over a given amount of days determines whether that next day they show up again.
Yeah.
It's about experience. What kind of experience are we producing? What do they see themselves here long-term, because the environment is right for them, never have to leave. And until we get to that point, we're going to see a lot of the shifting in motion constantly.
Yeah. Pull motivation, not push.
Absolutely.
Robin talks about it, right? Not just trying to brute force your way through, having a bigger mission, vision, values, something that you're inspired to do and inspiring the people around you to do. Why are these owners not doing this? If it's as simple as you saying you just have to prepare the soil wide and deep enough to be the place where no one wants to leave, and they know that, and I'm sure the companies you're talking to are not $1 million and started yesterday.
Right.
They're big companies. Yeah. They're 10, 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 PE bought companies. Why are they not doing it if it's that simple?
Because the voice that they're hearing more often doesn't promote that.
Okay.
It goes back to our first sheet. It's a systems problem. It's a process. You get your processes are screwed up. And the other thing is, it takes too much work, they think. So Reggie, I've got 15 oars in the water now. Don't ask me to do the 16th one. Like, I don't have the bandwidth to do it. We don't have the people to do it. And so I think that the easy fix is systems and processes or coaching. Oh my God. I was trying my best to go all day and not mention this. But the fact is, we think that we bring a coach in and the coach is correcting maybe our process of selling or a process of marketing and that's all good. But the fact of the matter is, until you can get that core level of your business partners, known as your employees, engaged, it's very, very difficult to scale the business. It just is. I'm not saying you can't scale on revenue, but that predictability of ongoing growth and that stability and that sustainability kind of are the two primary pillars that you're operating out of is really, really hard. So, I just think that most people want quick fixes. I think that hey, Reggie, how much you want? Oh, I don't care how much I have to pay you. I just need it done by tomorrow. And that's not.
They want the solve done by tomorrow, not the analysis, not the diagnosis.
No,
not here's the problem.
Fixed.
They want it. They want here's the problem, and here's what I already did about it, and here's it back in a book.
Yeah, it don't work really like that. So if your mind is on either hustle, grind, systems, or processes, and you look at something like this, as simple as it sounds, hearing people, understanding people, being deliberate about making people feel welcomed here, it's not really, it's soft. That's the word that I hear most often. It's just soft stuff. Culture is just soft.
Soft meaning like you're a baby boy, or soft meaning like soft skills?
Soft skill. It's just like, we're gonna survey these people twice a year. And we're just gonna make for sure they're okay. And the fact of the matter is, well, that doesn't work.
Right. You survey monkey twice a year. Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah, and I asked the right questions, Reggie. We're doing all that. That's HR's department. It's not. HR is really about compliance.
Yeah.
This is more exactly keeping us all out of trouble kind of deal. And so I just think people have to realize that if they want to make a change, they're going to have to change the way they're trying to make changes. And to do that, it just takes depth, not width. And you said depth and width. And I think width is a result of depth. If we can get people to start focusing on a root system that sustains pressure and sustains unexpected, then all of a sudden we've got something that will naturally scale sideways.
When we're talking about people not appropriately taking in the right information,
right,
and just trying to get the next information and thinking that it's going to be a coach, a consultant, tool, SOP, or what have you, and they focus the wrong way. You mentioned something right before we jumped out, that the orientation, what we're looking at, what we're paying attention to is off. What you got?
So I think we're focused on things that are above the surface because they're easy. They're
similar to the
just easy to see. They're up there. There's the problem. Chop it down. Kind of get the pitch and wedge. Chop it down.
Yeah.
And we don't realize that until you get to the root, it'll come back. And that's what's happening to owners.
Yeah.
It's just this repetitive. It's not a lot of different things. It just shows up in a new way.
Yep.
Right. And so they bring one coach in or one consultant in and they go down this road for 6 months. And then all of a sudden, because they've not dealt with the root problems, this same stuff just comes back up. And they go, well, that coach sucked. No, that coach didn't suck. Their information was powerfully important. But it can only go as far as the root will allow. And so, have you ever had a root canal?
No.
Have you ever had any surgeries?
Yeah, when I broke the crap out of my leg and my
Did they use any anesthesia?
Yeah.
Why?
Probably because it was going to hurt like crap.
Right. So this is anesthesia stuff.
Okay.
This is the stuff that just kind of puts the bomb over like the pain. It doesn't get rid of it.
But the immediate pain, it actually just makes you not feel it for now.
For now.
Yeah.
Somebody came up to me the other day and said, have you ever heard of a person that has pain but don't feel it? I'm like, no. He said, there's a disease out there where somebody could break their leg.
Yeah.
Not even feel it and just keep on walking. How does that happen? What I think is this: when you get in enough pain, you're going to deal with the root issue. Yeah. I've had root canals and they could chop this tooth off, but until they pull that root out,
it don't matter.
I'm going to still be in pain. The teeth are just the surface. The problem is the root.
Yeah.
And so what I'm trying to get people to understand, and what I want people to really see today, this ownership group, is you're probably not going to make significant changes until there's enough pain. But when there's enough pain, you've got to realize this ain't about the tooth. This is about the root. And how do we change that? And so that takes effort and energy.
Yeah.
And most people just don't have time for it.
Yeah. That's a heck of a segue. Because what I'd like to look at next is you're talking about the root, right? So what we're talking about there, when you're using the metaphor of the root, you're talking about the problem.
Yeah.
So let's go into problems.
Yeah.
Right. So when we talk about root problems, because we know thus far from anyone that's watching this, just a little recap, right? They're naming it differently than it is.
Yep.
They're claiming it's something surface level. It's
Right.
root. They're trying to fix it with a bunch of crap that gives them a shiny new badge. That they went to this event and they were in this city and they talked to this person. They got this photo with this guru. They did blah, 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 blah. None of it is actually fixing the root problem. They actually just have more of this problem showing up all over the place. What does it actually look like? Like, what is the actual problem? If it's not the things that you're going to hit with the pitching wedge, what is it?
Yeah. Well, I think some of it has to do with history with people. They have
Intercommunication.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. The other problem is it's not painful enough for some. They have masked the pain.
Not painful enough. Okay.
Yeah. It's just not like, look, I sometimes get up and there's something a little bit sore, but if I just walk it off, I'm walking off.
Enough circulation, enough movement.
I'm fine. I'm fine. The problem is the issue really is there's probably something else going on.
Causing that repetitively?
Maybe. Right? And so that's what happens. We limp in our business and we think, just kind of like, just walk it off, put some dirt on it. Like, it'll be fine. Just get up in the morning. And generally it is over time until that pain becomes so severe, we just kind of ignore it. And because the pain that people feel is caused from the things no one sees.
Or no one says.
Sees or says. That's a good point. And so, and then until one day it just gets to a problem that you have no other alternative but to stop, slow down, and remove the problem. And here's what I think happens. I think most of what we see is in our industry is that we go from one anesthesia to the next.
The SOPs, the coaching program,
consulting.
Let's do this, let's do that.
The pitch and wedge, taking the top of the weeds off. It's just a short-term opportunity for us to
short-term fix, which is really just a mask.
That's all it is. And it's not going to go away till you pull it out. Like, it's not going to. And so I think that's the biggest problem that people are facing right now is they notice something is off, but they can't name it.
So they can't name it. And if they can't name it, they're going to have a hard time diagnosing it. If they can't diagnose, well, they're not going to come up with a solution.
And then what they do is they go on what they hear, right? Hey, this is a coaching problem. If I have, right? And look, coaching is great.
You got a lot of friends that are coaching.
I got a lot of coaching friends. But I'm telling you something, most of them that have lasting impact go in deep. They don't go in just like
consultatively.
No, they just go in like, bam, we're going to go in. And when we discover what this is, we're going to put a shovel in our hand. We're going to dig this thing up.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of the biggest problem right now. There's not enough pain. They've skirted the real issue by anesthesia, so to speak. And, but one day it's not going to work. And they're going to wake up and their leg is going to have about fell off because they just ignored the symptoms. There's a good point. If you can manage the symptoms, the pain and the real problem becomes less of interest. When you get so much pain in you, money doesn't matter. Nothing. Somebody fix this. I'm just waiting for those guys where they go like, okay, I can't deal with this anymore.
Okay. Are you waiting for those guys, or do you have to ask the appropriate questions to them to get them to understand they do have the pain?
So that's a great question. That's been a battle I've had because, again, my nature's aggressive. Like, dude, it's like, are you dumb?
That aggressive.
Like, no, I'm just saying.
Dumb, but
you just you go like, do I get on this bandwagon and start blowing the horn real loud and say, yeah, I can do that. And I've done some of that. But the fact is, until you feel it, you ain't gonna believe me. You're not gonna believe me. You don't feel it. You have anesthetized yourself for so long. You have put something on top of this wound or this difficulty or this challenge that gets you by to the next day. And then 3 days later, the weeds back up and you just don't have the strength or energy or interest in fixing it at the root level. And so I think that people just kind of are too casual about it until pain is unbearable.
Yeah. And I agree. You shouldn't be telling them. You shouldn't be labeling it on your end. But I do want to challenge you.
Sure.
Because I do believe that you obviously have passion for this. You obviously care about this getting fixed. It's not just about cash. There's a bunch of different things you could have done to make money. So I want to challenge you that I think that this is part of your duty Yeah, ask the question, not to tell. Not to say, James, you have a culture problem. Avery, you have a culture problem. Roofing 123, you have a culture problem.
Yeah.
But asking the questions to get them to feel it. Because to me, you, even as we're walking through this, you're a problem finder,
Yeah.
right? We're talking about problem finding. We're
Yeah.
talking about how it shows up, how they name it, how they inappropriately name it. What is a symptom? What is a root? I think this comes back to, they need a consultative process from you
Yeah.
to help them understand what it really is. But I agree, you can't just bullhorn scream at them. That's not going to work.
So what I think, and I agree with you, I think I have a responsibility. I really do.
Yeah.
But I want them, they have to feel the pain
Mhm.
and I'll help them name it.
Mhm.
That's the difference. So if I go out and go like, you're in pain, I got a great friend, runs a great roofing company,
Mhm.
Fraser Roofing.
Yep.
Love those guys. I've done some work with them in the past, but they have such a well-built culture. They're kind of that example culture. And so as much as I would like to do business with them, they don't have the pain level where I become instrumental to alleviation and moving forward. And so I just look for companies who are fit. If I can help them name the pain they're feeling, because they all have pain right now. Generally, they're like, but they can't name it.
Mhm.
And so when I come in on the consultative basis, going like, look, talk to me about this. What's happening?
Mhm.
I've spent a lot of years trying to cultivate this to where I can start seeing some similarity between the symptom and the pain and like be able to go, maybe this is it. And they go, yeah, well then now what do I do about it? So I don't want to just help them name it. I want to help them with the diagnostic work that has to lead them past it. If they work with me, it just is probably going to be hurt more. It's going to hurt early,
Mhm.
but relief will come shortly. And so until people get to that point to where they go like, dude, I can't bear this myself anymore. This is too much and I've run too many different directions. Help. That's when I step in.
Yeah. There's an old adage that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
But what you can do is what?
I mean, you can feed it a salt lick and
Salt their oats.
walk them around in circles until they get thirsty enough to do it.
Yeah.
What I'm saying to you is I believe you have a gift. And I know this is not a coaching session where I'm coaching you, but I'm telling you, you have a gift. If you can diagnostically help them name it more than just thinking they're going to figure it out, because I don't think they are, or you wouldn't have a space in the market.
No, right.
ProLine wouldn't have a space in the market if there wasn't a failure on the incumbent's path.
Right.
Same thing for you, brother.
Here's the news. I don't have incumbents. Nobody talks about this. Everybody's talking about symptoms. Everybody's talking, and look, I get it.
Mhm.
But somebody like me is going to have to walk in this space and go like, all right, let's fix it. We're going to name it and we're going to fix it. And it's going to take some time. It's going to take some energy. It's going to take some resources. If you give me a year, I'll give you 10 like you've never had. Because we're going to deal with this thing where the problem and the pain really exists. So I'm with you. And I take that. I mean, I appreciate you being kind enough to tell me that, because I don't think I have all the answers. And one of my biggest challenges is I don't want to be noise.
You being categorized as noise or not noise comes down to the merit that you're bringing to them, though, not to you believing that you're an imposter.
Yeah.
And you're not. And you know that.
Oh, I don't feel like that.
100%.
Right.
But if anyone were to say this doesn't matter because you're the only one speaking about it,
Right.
you are simply not an imposter because you're early.
Right.
You're simply not an imposter because you are carrying the charge on something that people don't seem to care about. And you have the ear of a lot of big roofing companies that most people probably be like, what the heck? How do you know they got those problems? If they got those problems, I promise your $5 million roofing company has those problems.
So I think this is probably not going to come out the way I want to. But I believe I've created a category.
Okay.
Like, and category creators are always early. They're always new. They're always like misunderstood. Like, what is this? And then the other thing is the word culture has been bastardized. Like people just kind of have this notion of, culture's just, they don't really understand it. And I think I've been able to dial that down. So yeah, I'm with you, man. And I appreciate you saying that, because I do want to deliver this. I feel like now I have what I've worked on for 16 years is the platform. Like I want people to, when they leave my presence, feel like they're better off than when I got there. And if I think I've been able to accomplish most of that in my career inside of roofing, but now I'm on a mission. And that mission is, how do you build a place that keeps people coming back? It's healthy. It has this collective mindset to it that drives us all together and our individual needs met. But if you're going to do that, you're going to have to stop dilly-dallying around with it and go deep.
Yeah, I agree. 100% agree.
Yeah.
All right. So when a roofing company gets to this position, and we've already gone through what they come to you saying, what they're currently doing, trying to fix it on their own, but Reggie, it's just not working. And you've uncovered the root problem. As I see it, there's 4 directions to go. And I'd love your thoughts on this, because when we're looking at, they're at this point, you're kind of you're at a bit of a divide. It's not, you don't have ignorance anymore. You don't have, I don't know what's happening. I haven't had somebody tell me what's happening. I haven't had someone uncover what's going on with the problems. So there's four directions that I kind of want to rock on first.
Yeah. We're at a moment of truth now.
Yep.
They have the lights come on. And for the first time, maybe in ever, they've gone like, oh, maybe this is different than I thought it is. So I love these next steps that we're going to be talking about.
Okay. So what we're going to look at first is, let's say they go into, you know what, I know all this. I'm going to do an action, right? But that's going to be, I'm going to do the same as before. What does that look like, and what happens?
It just means that they double down on what they've been doing forever. The actions are so comfortable for them, even though they see the problem, they don't have enough courage or bravery, because this has become so predictable. Even if it's wrong, like, I feel more comfortable digging deeper into what I already know. And they would rather do something that they already know wrong than make a correction at times in their path of action. So they'll just stay the same and double down.
Now, is that because they don't want to admit that they're wrong? Or is there something else?
I think there's a level of comfort to it. Like, even in wrong, man, some people get comfortable, so comfortable in just doing it the wrong way.
In a lot of things, relationships and
everything. Like, it's not that we don't see that there needs to be a change, but we've been doing the same thing for so long and we're comfortable with it. Even when somebody pokes us with a different action, it's like, nah, I'm just going to double down here. I've done this. I know this. And sometimes the enemy is easier to deal with than the one you don't.
Yeah.
And so this is just about comfort to me.
Okay. So this is, and I like that. There's a great book called The Comfort Crisis.
Yeah, I've read it.
I really like that book.
Yeah.
He spoke at, I was at gym launches a long time ago when I was in the gym business. I was at a conference and he spoke at it, and we talked about that. Comfort is a slow death there, sir.
So this is all of the SOPs. This is all the consulting. This is all the coaching. This is all those other things. Nothing wrong with them, but they've not been the right action up until now, and they're never going to be going forward.
That is very similar to what we went through in the very first and second section, the things that everyone is going to feel like it's going to be good to do. And they're also probably reinforced with dopamine to do. The coaches are telling them to do it. The people that build the SOPs, Claude is telling them to do it. Hey, just continue to use these things. You're a great business owner. So we've got action there. Let's say maybe we take inaction. And what I mean by inaction is like, hey, I'm gonna do nothing. What happens then?
Nothing. If you do nothing, you get nothing. Okay. And so that's the kind of the quandary that people find themselves in. And there's a reason for some of that. And some of the reason that people don't want to do anything is they feel ill-equipped.
Okay.
They don't really, even though they see a problem, maybe we
like in skill, they don't feel like
absolutely, or qualified, because a lot of times people think about, well, that sounds like something HR will do, or something that therapy, or I'm out of my depth. So what I'm going to do is nothing.
It doesn't pertain to me. Someone else is going to do this.
Yeah. It's not my problem.
Will this fix on its own?
No. I mean, it's like asking if cancer left alone, you'll eventually just go away. It does.
You may go away, but the cancer won't do that.
You may, it ain't. And that's what inactivity does. It breeds, a consequence that left unattended. Like, I just had a little cancer removed off of my shoulder and one off of my ear. And here's what my wife would be like: sunscreen, you got to do all. And I would sometimes do it. Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. She's sitting in here. That's why I'm looking over there. And I maybe enough or not enough. Yeah. But here's what I realized. One day, this ear started bleeding on me.
Yeah.
It was now got to a point to where I'm like, I can't ignore this anymore. This is the stage of just bliss of ignorance. Just like where we're going like, it'll go away on its own. These kind of malignant problems do not go away alone. So inactivity, doing nothing will only lead to a slower death to your business.
Okay. So now that we know if you do the same as before, you're going to be chasing comfort, not going to work. You do nothing, you're going to die eventually.
Right.
Okay. At some point, business or otherwise.
Yes.
Number 3, what if I say, hey, I'm going to do an action, but actually I'm going to double down and go harder. I'm going to hustle on action. What happens then?
So you get to where you don't want to be faster.
All right.
Hustle and grind just speeds us up.
Okay.
And hustle and grind, even if we're going in the wrong direction,
Yeah.
if you go faster, and that's what we're told, just put your foot down on the accelerator.
Yeah.
Everything will work itself out. No, what happens is you just get to the place you don't want to be faster because you put speed to it.
Yeah.
That's what this does. It creates this mindset of, dude, I'm just like, I'm all in. I'm going hard. All my people are going to go hard. I don't care if they lose their families. I don't care. Dude, I've been in conferences where I've sat on stages with guys that would say this. Here's what I want you to know. Go hard, grind fast for 7 years, and then you can regain your family. I'm not into that. But you hear that all the time where, hey, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. Who says you? I believe that. Sometimes you do have to make sacrifices. But speed is not the solution.
Yeah.
And going faster only takes us where we don't want to be quicker. I don't believe in that. So with this particular action, I think you're careless.
Okay.
I think you're just careless where you're going like, all right, my action is speed and velocity. And what you don't realize is that speed and velocity is creating carelessness on your direction and your journey. And ultimately you run into a wall that you never saw coming. Slow down and analyze, reset, pivot, do the things you need to do. But that's only going to get you to a destination faster than you want to be.
What categories do you see roofing owners do this in? Is it, hey, they just do more lead gen? Hey, they're running more appointments. What are the areas that they really try to just push this to fix the culture problem? It's not going to get fixed by this.
Yeah. Well, they do stuff like little events together.
Okay.
Like they just bring everybody together and we'll put them in a room and let them to drink themselves into oblivion and then get up tomorrow and go work harder together. So they create these little communities that are not genuine to each other. They're just activities that pull us together and we call them team building exercises. And the fact of the matter is, until somebody is willing to go deeper than what we can just see, nothing is going to change. So I think they do like little gimmicky stuff.
Yep.
They'll do little contests. I'm not saying don't do contests, but I'm just saying these cannot be in lieu of making actual change.
So what other categories? So they do it on lead gen. They do it with the parties. They do it with the internal drink yourself right up under the table and forget who your wife is.
Yeah.
Where else do they do it?
So I think the biggest and most noticeable action that they take that's wrong is what I call hyper recruiting.
Okay.
They think that if I can get a room more of people in here, everything is going to be better. And so the noise in our industry right now is just more people, get more people, get more feet on the street, get more voices at the door. And I just think it's a mistake. I think if we have something that needs to be corrected as a business and we throw more people into it, all you're going to do is get more of what you don't want from new people that you bring in. Makes no sense. So that hyper recruiting mentality, can I tell you this? All my recruiting friends out there, hang in here with me. The only people making money in recruiting right now are recruiters. And the play is, you just have to accept it, James. You're in roofing. You ain't gonna keep anybody.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. I don't believe it. I think it's a flaw in our business strategy. And I think this hyper kind of recruiting mentality is another kind of a way to soften the pain that they're feeling because of the real problems they're experiencing. And so, hey, can we get 400, reps out here to do what the 200 have done before? No, thank you.
Yeah.
And so I think that hyper recruiting mentality permeates our industry right now.
Well, it's also, if you look at the offer stack for anyone that is in recruiting, and there's a bunch of people that I won't name by name because I'm not interested in taking shots. Yeah, me either. But I think you probably know who I'm talking about. There's 3 or 4 people that are very notable about recruiting a crap ton of people and get you a ton of resumes, get you a ton of form fills. And that's awesome. But When these companies don't have the culture to handle even a quarter, a tenth of the people that they bring in, you're just going to go do this again.
Oh, but that's interesting, because if you're not building a culture that creates stickiness to it, that you're really trying to build a business that has a foundation to it, running people in and out is okay. Because building culture that's sticky, that people stay in, requires more than just activity, showing up, and us doing things together. And so I think this gives people this idea of like, okay, if I can do this, maybe that culture piece doesn't need to be worked on, because all I'm looking for is more revenue.
Mhm.
And this, in many cases, will solve that problem, at least short term.
How short term? 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? A few years?
Mm,
1 to 5 years? Like, be honest. I know that what you're talking about is hard to get through to people because people believe that they can just do these things and they can rock. But is it a month thing? Is it a year thing? How long till this dies or kills their company?
So I think it more has to do with the recruit that comes in than the company that hired them. How long do these people take it?
Attitude and belief of them, or we
Both.
talk? Okay.
Yeah, like I think if you recruit me and you've attracted me, your hair alone would make me want to come to work
Well,
for you.
right on.
Caesar's got that hairdo every man wants, but can't grow it. I think I'm gonna let mine grow out, Jane.
Hi.
Anyway, so
Cool.
if these people come in
Yep.
and they're attracted to come to work for you, this is determined by the experience they have.
Yeah.
So there's no way to put a 3, 6, 9 month, you can't do that. What you got to realize is that how you build their experiences will determine their return rate. So if they have a high level of pain, like for example, they may stay 5 months. I mean, they may stay 6 months or 9 months, but it's not going to last.
Yeah.
Eventually, these people who've been hyper recruited are going to realize this ain't what I signed up for, and they're gone. So much of that has to do with the type of recruit that's in this funnel,
Okay.
their ability to endure, because you're not doing anything really other than just more people, more people, more people. And if these people are making money, they might stay a while. If they're not making money, they might be gone in 3 weeks, much less 3 months. I don't think that the person doing the recruiting has much to do with that other than creating the right experience. These people determine, or these recruits determine what this looks like based on the success they have, or how much they feel like this is a long-term play for them. And so I don't think it's as much on, I think the owner, the recruiter is the one that has to produce the experiences. And these guys have to determine how long they're willing to put up with that.
And question, I mean, that brings me up to an idea. If you are hyper recruiting, let's say tenured individuals that have dealt with nonsense, like we're talking about at every other company they've worked at, and have gotten through that without churning out, right? Not sticking there. And they built up the callous skin. Are we not maybe allowing owners to hide behind the fact that they've recruited people that just have dealt with the nonsense longer and are willing to do it again because they're making enough money?
Yeah. But I don't think it's just about they've made enough money. These people fit that model.
Okay.
They don't mind this cattle kind of pull a bunch of people together and go out and just get all you can get. How hyper recruiters keep recruits is they found those people who love to be in that high energy, kind of moving and shucking and jiving, and kind of like, there's not a lot of accountability. We can kind of do our thing. If I go knock my 10 doors, I can go home, do whatever. I think the people who stay in this environment and build that callus up are just built like that. I think that to build a long-term field force, it doesn't work like that. There has to be some meat and potatoes. These are carbohydrate people.
Okay.
This is a carbohydrate diet.
Okay.
And it burns about as quick as you digest it.
Okay.
And so hyper recruiting to me is that sugar rush that comes with businesses, that we get all these people in this mode. And as long as we can keep dousing them with sugar, these people will stay.
Okay.
But when that sugar starts dying off, maybe they don't have some success. Maybe they don't have, and there's no protein, so to speak, in their diet. They die off. They just die off. This model is built off sugar rushes. This high that people get from that carbohydrate of, hey, you want to make $100,000 in 6 months? This is the way you do it.
Yeah.
There's people that like, oh my God, I can make it. And they will endure with this hope until the sugar wears off, and they have to have something that's sustainable to them. And most of these environments don't produce that.
Interesting. Is this better suited for someone green or tenured?
Again, I think that's too wide of a question, honestly, because I think that there are people in certain places of their life that are seasoned who need a quick bump, and that this will work for them, but they're not staying there.
But this will work for them knowing that somewhere in this, they're gone.
They're
and then know that coming in.
Yeah, I'm a perfect example of this. You know why I got into roofing?
Wow.
I had bankrupt our family, basically.
Yeah.
Here in Atlanta, I had to find somewhere that I could get cash quick. And when I started 16 years ago, there were no mortgage endorsements. The adjuster would come out. I'd get up on the roof with them. They'd get down, say there's damage, sit in their truck, write the estimate, cut a check, done.
Yeah.
Not like that now. So I think sometimes in the stage of life people are in, they either can tolerate this or not. People who are kind of looking for a sustained kind of well-balanced diet in terms of their work. But this appeals to people like me. Oh, wait a minute. You told me I can make $3,000 this month if I do, this week, if I do what? Well, you just need to do this. I did that, and I did it for 5 years, and then I'd stomached out. I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't want it because sugar was not enough for me. We had got ourselves back together, and this was a great strategy for me early, but it had never sustained it.
You didn't have the pain or emotional need.
No.
To be served by that environment.
Yeah. Once I got myself in financial shape, this did not appeal to me. I didn't need all the rah-rah meetings. I didn't need all of the,
rich quick.
No, I didn't need all that. I didn't need to go to all these recruiting seminars. I needed now to level off and realize that my life needed balance. That would require me to be in a place working with people who understood that balance was critical for my success. Now, I had a lot of success here, and it gave me a lot of attention, and people interested in me coming and working with them, but it wasn't fulfilling to me. I couldn't stay on that path and pace.
Yeah. Okay. So we've looked at more of the same.
Yep.
Right. Really changing nothing, kind of being comfortable. Inaction, hey, this is just going to happen itself. Action, the opposite, one of these directions, but aggressively to combat it.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about just action to actually building the culture.
Yeah.
What does that even look like? It's amorphous.
Yeah. And so, that's kind of what my life's mission is right now. How do we do the things every day that make us all feel like this is where we belong and when we do it again tomorrow? Let me use an example here. If I ask you, James, I'm going to do that right now.
That's fine.
James, if there's a place that you have been that you could go back to with no encumbrances, and stay there for the rest of your life and never leave, what's that one place?
Texas.
Okay, Texas, big state. Is there a particular part of Texas?
Houston or Austin.
Okay.
Either.
My answer is Sea Island, Georgia.
Really? Okay.
Connie and I 2 years ago went there. We've been a lot of places.
Yeah.
And if you had to drop me off or say to me, Reggie, go and you can't leave this place ever, that's where I would go.
Wow. Okay.
And the reason for it are the experience. Listen to me. This is the question. The answer to the question. When I went to Sea Island, Georgia, here's what I didn't realize. I started studying Sea Island because I loved it so much. The experience was what brought us back. It was just the experience. And it's the experience that brings people back to places they don't want to leave. So here's what was interesting to me.
Okay.
The guy who built this, his last name was Coffin, I think. Harry Coffin was his name. 94 years before my wife and I showed up at Sea Island, he built an experience that he knew, didn't know me, but he knew to bring people back. The accommodations, perfect.
Okay.
The environment, calming, peaceful, enjoyable, food, everything was perfect. And then it had a golf course. I knew if I could only play one golf course for the rest of my life, this would be fine with me. In business, I ask this question all the time. Why can't we build businesses like that? Where people say, if I have to stay here the rest of my life, I am good with it. I call them destination businesses, where people experience it and then they get in and they realize, I'm paying $1,200 a night for a room, but my God, was it worth it? I'm just saying, we didn't, by the way. but you build businesses based upon experience. And so I think the action that needs to be taken to build cultures that people want to stay in have everything to do with the experience you create for people every day. And if you stack enough of them up, you don't have to beg them, they choose to. And so now what I think is not just about what you do to attract people, it's what you do to keep them.
Yeah.
And to do that, I have to understand James. I have to understand why he shows up, why he keeps showing up. Again, I said earlier, I don't care. The question is not why people leave me. The question is, why would they stay? And if you can build enough stay in your culture, you're not going to have to worry about it. You can add 500 people, and all it will do is it'll just generate scale because you have a foundation laid that nobody wants to leave. That's impossible, Reggie. We'll just keep believing that.
Well, it's impossible if you say it is.
And you believe it is, and you just think that there's another way to do it that hadn't worked, but for some insane reason, we think just pouring gas on that model makes more sense than doing something differently. And that's where I come in and say, if you keep doing what you've been doing and throw more gas on that, then expect not just to get more of what you got, but to burn down what you've built, what you want to do. And so to me, I want to be able to think architecturally. Like if I'm an owner of a company, I want to come in and go like, okay, hey, you've been with me for a year now. Why do you come back here every day? This is the kind of questions, James, I ask when I go into a business. Ownership, leadership I deal with. But I go to the employees, James, you've been here 18 months. Can you tell me why you're coming back tomorrow? What makes you want to come back here? And James goes, this. Oh, okay. Then I go to Emily and I say, hey, you've been here a year. Why do you keep coming back? I gather what I call the keep list. What is it that keeps people coming back?
Talking to a bunch of different people.
Everybody in the business. I'm also going to be able to find out where your risks are as an owner. Like
the human capital that are risk.
Absolutely.
That have already quietly quit or have already.
They're in the process. They're in the process of it. And so to me, that's what I think the action needed begins to look like this. How are we building the right experiences stacked on each other day after day after day? And you do that by creating an understanding about what keeps people coming back and build more of that. And then even on new people coming in, I want to sit down with this and talk to them about our business, but I want to talk to them about what they want out of life. And is there a way they can get that here? And if they can't, I'm going to wish them well and we're going to move on. Because I can't get anything in my business that destructs or creates challenges in our growth because I've got the wrong ingredient inside the business.
And because their ideal future state does not match.
It just doesn't match, and that's okay.
It doesn't make you bad or them bad, or have you, but it does put us misaligned. And so now we're like this. Something's got to give. If you want to build this culture, you have to remove those ingredients and put the proper ingredients back.
In any good culture build, there has to be things removed and things added. And so sometimes
a baking recipe, you can't just throw everything in there.
Right. And if you know what taste you're looking for, then you can start really realizing what are the ingredients that are going into this that are creating the taste, the experience that I want. And let's just do more of that. The really good restaurants that I've been to are pretty specific about what they deliver. And most of it are experiences first and foremost. When you walk in the door, things are different. Like the food's prepped right. The wait staff is just really dialed in and tuned in. And I feel it. I feel that experience. And then the food comes and it's like, and then you're like, get the bill and you're like, okay, I didn't expect this, but my God, was it worth it? And so when you build a culture like that, people are able to tolerate even high price of stuff. And I don't mean that in the restaurant sense, but just like, look, if I'm building a culture that people just feel like, God, I'm a part of this, they'll tolerate a lot more, even in the inconsistencies, because they feel like they're a part of this. Build the experiences, stack them together, do whatever they got to do to stay in this place. That's what I want to build. That's an action that matters differently.
And so it's not only to be the leader that's worth following, it's to create a culture that has them being like, how can I do anything in my power to stay here? Because this serves what I'm trying to achieve. It serves what the company's trying to achieve. And I can grow to as big as I want to get here without ever leaving.
Like
Easy enough.
Why can't we do that? Why can't you make your business see Island, Georgia like it is to me? Like where people just go like, God, I can't see myself anywhere else. And I believe it's possible, buddy. I believe it's possible.
So Reggie, I want to talk about something that I've seen in your ecosystem over here. It's what you call the 4+1.
Yep.
I'm not going to give anything away. I want you to walk us through it completely. What is 4+1 and why the heck should anybody care?
Yeah. So 4+1 are the conditions inside of a company that create alignment. And I think without alignment, we wander and we ultimately end up destroyed what we're trying to build. So these are conditions that do two things. They either keep people or they run people off. If they're not acknowledged, if they're acknowledged in their practice, these are the key components to keeping people inside a culture. Number two is if they don't nurture these conditions, people start vanishing at a very alarming rate. So that's what, when I talk about conditions, it's really about how are we aligned as a company and making sure that people are aligned with those values internally. So the first one is clarity. So clarity is the biggest challenge that I see inside of most companies. And that is people guess their way to their day too much.
What they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah. And so until they understand, your people understand their contribution and how it matters to the overall collective, they will constantly be guessing about their importance to the business.
It goes back to their slice of the business that's going to help their vision and mission achieve the business.
And I hear stuff like this all the time. I'm not even clear on my compensation, much less my future, Adrian. All right. Like, I mean,
I don't even know what I get paid.
Yeah, I don't even know how I'm getting paid. And as a result, I mean, how can I bank on a future? That's simple. So when we lack clarity, life in our business becomes guesswork. You got to remove the guesswork. So how do we do that? We just start boiling things down to their simplest forms and reducing much of the noise in documentation and in voice and in meetings that we have, and just boil it down, making sure that people every day are clear about what is needed for the outcome of the day in reference to their role. Number two is this issue of communication. This is a big one. When people, and to me, communication looks like this. It's about agreement and it's about clarity, right? Let me tell you what I mean. So meetings monopolize our time. Like we think the way to
for meaning's sake.
And we feel like maybe we'll get into a meeting with people and we can talk a lot and something will come out of it. And I'm about communication being accurate, not frequent. So how do you just really boil down the message in our communication that causes people to get real clear on what we're agreeing on? So if I send you an email, I want that email to be extremely clear about what I'm asking and get agreement through that email by your response before we ever sit down for some long. And if you don't agree with it, I want you to be clear on why you're not. What is that you don't understand? And so when people communicate with accuracy more than frequency, and they sense that in your business, they have a tendency to trust that this is just not noise. This is actionable communication that I need to pay attention to. Communication. The third thing is chemistry, and this is a big one for me. So I hate to admit this, but I had one chemistry class between high school and college. That was all I could take, and I was horrible at it. I had to beg my high school teacher to not fail me because I couldn't get chemistry. And actually ended up getting a D. She was a football fan or something. But here's what I did learn about chemistry. Chemistry is about elements. And so what's interesting is, for example, oxygen is an element that stands alone and provides what we need, and that's breath to live. And it's easy to look at oxygen and go like, that's all we need from you, oxygen. Thank you so much for showing up, bringing your gift to the world. Now we can breathe and then we can live. And we just take oxygen and put its own lane and say, that's it. Well, hydrogen alone is very explosive. But if you put oxygen and two parts of hydrogen together, what do you get?
Make sure you get water.
Another life source. So what we don't know how to do real well inside of our business is to create an interaction of elements inside of our business that produce something together that they couldn't be done alone. There's no water without 2 parts of hydrogen and 1 part oxygen. But you combine those and you create another life source. To me, that's chemistry. Is all right, how do we look at our organization? And we do a lot of assessment we can talk about later, but how do we pair people?
Okay.
How do we pair people in such a way that both of them, though they do their own things, they do, they've got their own path.
Yeah.
But when you properly pair elements, now sometimes you put elements together and it causes a great explosions, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes you can put elements together that create a new flow path, a new level of gain, a new level of opportunity that opens up because you didn't just leave oxygen and hydrogen to run in their own lanes because they're doing great work. No, like we've analyzed this and we realized that 1 part of oxygen, 2 parts hydrogen coming together, they produce another life source. My question to business owners is this: if you want to create another life source, how do you best pair inside of the team that you have to create it? And so chemistry to me is all about the pairing of elements. These individual elements inside of our business, a lot of talent. Jane, we've got more talent in the roofing business right now than we've ever had.
Yeah.
Smart people, technical people, people that have high drive, all of these things. But all we do is put them in their lane and they never cross connect. And as a result, we only get out of them what they're able to give. Why not creating this chemistry, cross-pollination of ability that each have and produce by separate elements, a combination that produces new life for our business? That's chemistry. And when you have that, you can't beat people away with a stick. They want to show up because their contribution not just matters to them and their family, but now I have partnered, now I'm collaborating, now I've created this new thing between us that doesn't just benefit me, but all of us. And here's what I believe. Deep down inside, everybody wants a me group, a we group, where they're a part of something bigger than themselves. And so that's what chemistry is all about to me. And then the 4th thing is creativity.
Okay.
I love this.
All right.
Because we've got so much talent inside our business that we don't utilize because we don't ask them. So let me tell you the question that I ask.
Yep.
Hey, let me ask you something, James. You've been here for 2 years now. Loving it. You're doing a great job. Everybody loves you. Can I ask you something, James? What is it that we don't know about you think can create more impact on our business for all of us? James, have you seen something that we've been talking about that we hadn't been able to answer yet, but you maybe have just held back telling me? I want to hear from you. When we open up this ability for people to go beyond the task we've hired them for, to think and to offer up suggestions about things that we've ignored because we've not asked, we then begin to create ideas and solutions that are found internally that we don't have to look for somewhere else. This creativity is a magic pill, dude. Like I've seen it happen more than I can tell you, where people, just by simply asking, hey, what's missing? What is it about you? You're so talented, you're doing great things, but I want to make for sure I'm not missing any of your capacity.
Yeah. I think a lot of people's capacity is missed.
Of course it is. And why is that? Because we hire them for a role that we've built in an org chart somewhere.
And you're going to stay here and you're not allowed to go here.
Right.
And you're not allowed to go here and you can't come back over here. If you
Just stay right there. Just stay right there.
Just stay right in this little baby box. Right. And if you come out of here like, no, we hired you for this.
So you know what I would do if I was competing against you? I would find these people that I thought had a lot of creativity to them, and I would pull them in and I would say this: what do you want to do that you're not doing that I could help? Hopefully that would help us all get better here. I think on the interviewing process, if we're just hiring for this lane, we're going to cut off an opportunity to have an overflow of their ability because we've just given them a chance. This is missed more than anything else in business. We hire for a role, and that role has to get done, but take time, I love that word, where you empower them to do beyond what you even know they're capable of. Some of these people have just never been asked.
No. And might have a great idea on pricing and packaging, might have a great idea on communication cadence, might have a better way to do proposals, might have a better way to foster culture and continue to grow it, may have a better idea of how to better serve the homeowners.
Yep.
But you're like, hey, hold on, you're just the APAR guy.
That's it. I'll go get a coach. I'll find out.
Pull the invoicing. Stay over there.
Yeah, we'll go outside to find the answers for our internal struggles. when it's sitting right under your nose.
Yeah.
So my plus one is this.
Yeah.
I love this. My plus one is collisions.
Okay.
We do
Define that, because that doesn't make too much sense to me.
so
Collisions.
when we get inside our business as owners, we feel like if we can keep people from rubbing up against each other, meaning colliding because they have different opinions and ideas, that's the safe bet. And the fact of the matter is, it is pretty safe, but it's damaging far beyond what you recognize because you're just keeping people so far apart. When I want a parking lot collision is what I call them. I just want to bump into somebody. I don't want to be going 60 miles an hour.
We're not trying to crash.
I'm not trying to make this an irreparable relationship.
Yeah.
But what I do know is that even this conversation we've had today, you have bumped into me in some areas that has left me feeling like, not how dare you, but thank you. Because now I see that some of the things you've asked me have helped me to kind of dial in more how I'm doing, why I'm doing it, so that more people than just me can gain from it. How do you look at things, Reggie? And so what we do is like, look, we don't want any problems here. So just stay away from people.
Yeah.
So we're driving in this universe.
Your chair's over there. Your chair's over there.
Just stay over there, and it will just give us what you've got, but don't you dare get in the way of this one, because it'll create.
Yeah.
And what it ends up being is we don't know how to deal with these collisions that create new out of something. You know what I mean? It's like when our differences show up, how we deal with them becomes the opportunity to create something again through a collision that help us to become something new and different.
The fender bender could create a scenario in which you could get a heck of a lot more out of the sum of the two.
Yeah.
Even if you're getting a lot out of them in isolation.
Yeah. And so what most people do is they'll go into conversations, and when there's friction that rises, they are taught to stop and pivot. If you're getting into a conversation and you feel like that heat, or you feel like that, that difference that's noticeable.
Yeah.
And what we do is we stop the potential that impact has. And where our differences become learning for each of us to kind of pull us out into a new place and a different place. And so this is a leadership problem to me. We're trying to avoid collisions. Yeah, we're just trying to avoid collisions at all costs. And the reason is most of us don't want to clean up, or we don't want to fix. We don't, we would just rather keep people apart from each other.
Hold on. Is it that we don't want that, or is it that we're ill-equipped to deal with it?
Both.
Which is it more, though? Because deciding to avoid it and not having the ability to fix it, even if you want to, two different things.
Yeah. And I think not the ability to do it is probably the predominant thought. Is because, look, man, I got enough to do. I just don't need to be cleaning up messes.
I've got homeowners to deal with. I've got legal stuff. Someone's trying to sue me. I've got this, that, and the other. Like, just stay away.
Yeah.
It's not an internal problem.
That's it. Just stay in your lane, brother. Just stay in your lane.
But what's the consequence of avoiding this? Let's not say over, 6 months, let's say that over the next 5 years, and 20 to 50 million, what's the consequence, the negative consequence of this?
Well, the biggest negative consequence is you've got people who collisions tell us one thing. We're all close enough on the same path to where there's a chance that we're going to bump into each other. When you don't have collisions, you can have people going too many different directions away from each other, and you never have the opportunity of even getting close enough to each other to consider our differences as opportunities to strengthen us.
No.
It's just easier to deal with people leaving each other alone. And when we leave each other alone because we don't want collisions, what chance do we have of chemistry? What chance do we have of creativity? What chance do we have at effectively communicating with each other? Much less, how can we be clear on your intentions versus my intentions, and how do they collectively work together? We have got to collide. You ain't racing if you ain't rubbing. That was a quote.
Yeah.
So, being able to bump into each other is really, really important to challenging ourselves, to even our own perspectives about things, about the direction that we're willing to handle. It always tells us when I'm in a collision, I've been close to somebody enough to bump into them.
No.
And even if we differ, how do we come out of that collision? Because what comes out of that collision is what produces these other things we've talked about.
Yeah, and I would say, just speaking from my own experience, even just on our executive team of the CRM here, when we come out, claws out, getting after each other, knowing that we all are in the same boat, rowing the same
That's it.
direction, but we are willing to, like, here's my shoulder into your chest,
Yeah.
willing to get in there and get into it and actually flesh out what is going on, our perspective, their perspective, what have you. We come out of it not only having more chemistry and more clarity and better communication, but we allow people that see this from a different angle
Yeah.
to add their potential solutions that we're way too close to be able to say anything else.
Yep. Think about any team you've ever been on outside of business.
Yep.
It's like, it's the people that made it have mattered most to me when I've played sports have been the people that were, I mean, I practiced against my own team. Like,
Probably
we
hard.
beat
Probably
each
hard.
other
Yeah,
hard.
it's
Like,
hard.
it was never, but when that moment passed, we all realized that what he did that made me agitated was probably something that I needed to understand about my technique or the way I was thinking about a play or how I was executing a play. This guy just stopped me from actually getting where I wanted to, which was the learning lesson I needed to be able to go further than I could have gone had that not have happened. And that's what we do. We think, James, let's have a meeting, and, hey, we're gonna have donuts and coffee or whatever you healthy guys eat. And we're gonna talk through this. And I love when people come in and go like, you know what, this has pissed me off.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't take it personally. I'm just like, okay, come on.
Yeah.
Like, we're doing this together.
Walk me through it. Yeah. Come on.
What's happening here? Because I can't get here or scale until that happens, where we understand what's under each of our own hoods.
Yeah.
And why we do what we do and why our perspective is there. And sometimes I'm in meetings where we just dog it out, dude. Like, and we leave that meeting and go like, nah, but then always it's like that moment where we go like, okay, I didn't like that. Here's why I didn't like it. Let's work through it. But we moving on.
Yeah.
And this is not the collisions that I'm talking about. Leave somebody stranded at the end of the highway. This is where we're just like not afraid to be in each other's presence, even if there's a little bumping.
So what say you to a roofing owner that got to 30, 40, 50 million and did none of this?
You're talented. I don't know what to tell you. It's not this. This is the kind of stuff that creates stability and consistency and sustainability in the future.
I think that last one's the most important.
What, sustainability?
Absolutely.
No doubt about it. What are the patterns in place? So what if you did 10 million next year, you did 50 million last year, you did 10 million this year? What does that mean about your business to you? Most guys say this, well, it could be because you entered a storm in 2 years, or it could be because you haven't transitioned from insurance to retail. There's a bunch of ifs. But the fact of the matter is you've got a team that wins and loses, but they do it together.
Yep.
And that's what I want. Look, if we're going to get our brains beat out, we're going to get our brains beat out together.
Yeah.
I played on the team, my college team. My first 2 years, we were about 500.
Okay.
A brand new school, getting started in football.
Yeah.
And we just 2 years, and I'm like, dude. And then the next 2 years, we went 1-10. Not 10 wins, the opposite way. I think we started scheduling like kind of beyond our capacity. Yeah. But here's what I know. 40 years later, I saw those guys, and we could remember the moments where we fought and we bled together, we lost, we won, but none of us ever abandoned each other.
No.
And that's what this is all about. Dude, you got to scrap with people.
Yeah.
I believe you do. I think you've got to be able, we've been married, my wife and I have been married 37 years. If you think that it's all been bed of roses, it hasn't. But the idea is this, we have hung in like rusty nails, dude. Like, we just realized that there are ebb and flows in business. What we don't do is separate our differences. And in business, you can't do that. Or what happens is, again, if you don't name it, or you notice it, but you don't name it, you can't bury it.
Yeah.
You've got to leave. You've got to deal with it in the moment, because if it settles, it roots. And that root's hard to pull out. Let's deal with it up front. Yeah. Let's give people the opportunity to collide together, because it births all of this.
All right. So now that we know what people are coming to you saying, we also know what they're trying to do that is not working.
Right.
We also know the problems that it creates and their action steps from there. I want to walk through something that you call the perfect question
Yeah.
recipe.
Right.
And there's 3 things that make this up. And for anyone that doesn't know, I want to take this lowest common denominator all the way down. What are the 3 components that make up the perfect question? And then we're going to draw a little picture here, assuming that everyone can get through my my handwriting.
So the first ingredient is curiosity.
Curiosity.
Yeah. The second ingredient is what I call pause.
Okay.
And the third is clarity.
Clarity. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's break down this curiosity
Yeah.
first.
We have lost curiosity. We practice. We think all we need to do is just answer questions and people are happy. In many cases, that's true, but we just don't, or we're not curious enough about why people are in the place that they're in.
Mhm.
And that when they come to me and go like, Reggie, I'm at this place.
Mhm.
It's easy for me to get very analytical and go like, I've seen this happen with somebody else before. And here's the answer. Next, I'm just moving on. With this, curiosity makes me dig into them a little deeper about
Mhm.
their perspective of what has got them to where they're at. I can ask questions. Have you ever met somebody? How long will somebody talk to you as long as you ask them about them?
Forever.
Of course. So I don't know if we're shortchanging the relationship to be able to just give them an answer, or we're not equipped to do it or understanding how to do it. But if you want a perfect question, the first place to start is curiosity. I am curious to understand, James, why this is important to you. Can you talk to me about why you want to have this conversation with me? Or can you talk to me about that? I don't know. I want to understand. I don't want to assume. I don't want to guess. What are you thinking and feeling right now that would help me to understand where you're at?
Can you walk me through? Can you give me an idea? Can you help me understand?
Be curious. Ask questions that open them up about their lives and what they're going through.
Why are we not curious?
Because we think we know the answers.
We know the solutions to everything.
If not, we guess.
Okay.
We don't want to be perceived by people as, especially in leadership role, like we don't have the answers. We're not vulnerable. We aren't willing to go like, I don't know, James. Like, I don't know. I'll find out. But here's what I do want you to know. You're not going to go this another day by yourself.
Yeah.
What I have, give I unto you. I don't have the answer to this. This may be a little deeper than where I belong. But here's what I'm telling you. You're not going to do this by yourself.
Yeah. You're not alone in this.
I'm not going to let that go another day.
Mhm.
And you know what that does to James? James goes like, what? If I said that to you, what would you think?
I mean, awesome. I now don't have to be in the dark alone.
Yeah.
Someone else is there.
Did you feel pressured to answer with no.
No, I feel like we're moving in a place where I'm going to get what I want and you're going to help me,
Right.
even if you don't know the answer today.
That's right. If you want to lead, stop BSing people because they know it, they feel it, and they will respond accordingly. If you don't know, be brave enough to say, I don't know, but what I do know is something is bothering you and you're not going to live another day by yourself with it. We're going to figure the rest of the stuff out. Fair enough, James? James goes like, yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm not trying to assume. James is lazy. James has got a bad ask.
Yeah.
James, look, man, I've noticed that the last 2 months, I'm not used to this. Seeing
performance look like this. Now this is happening.
Right.
I got to assume something's probably happening with you and I'm here. I'm here to help or here to listen at minimum.
Yeah.
If you don't want the help, I'm here to listen to understand.
James, let me ask you this. What's going on? Are you comfortable enough to tell me that? It just looks like things are not like the way they've been. You've been in a rhythm and cadence with me for a year.
Yeah.
And it just seems like, and I don't want to guess.
I don't want to make something up.
I don't want to assume, man. I just want to know from you. And I'm going to give you the time right now to tell me if you're comfortable with that. James, what is that?
Yeah.
You want to talk to me about it? James goes, no. Okay, just know this, James. I'm here when you are. Because this is not going away.
When you are.
That's
not
right.
If you are. At some point, you're going to cave because you're going to need some help.
That pain is going to become unmanageable.
But I'm not going to push you.
Nope.
And tell you it's unmanageable right
Nope.
now. If it's not for you, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here when you want to talk.
That's curiosity.
I like it. Okay. Let's say you nail curiosity. Just tee that thing up, hit it over the fence.
Yeah.
What's this pause thing?
Pause is use your ears more than your mouth. And so usually what happens with pause is we're like, James is talking to me and I'm like, but in my mind, I'm already curating the answer.
Here's the answer. Here's what I'm going to do.
Stop, James. You don't even tell me anymore. Here's your answer. And James has got so much more to go, but I have not been willing just to shut my mouth and open my ears. This creates the perfect. It's just an ingredient in the perfect question. James, I've asked you a curiosity question. Now, you know what? I'm not going to answer it. I'm going to let you, I'm here to hear. I'm here to,
Whether it takes 15 seconds or it takes 15 minutes for you to go and let everything out, I'm here to listen. Period. 2 ears, 1 mouth.
right.
At minimum 2x.
Yeah. So this is a nasty example.
Yeah.
But if you ever vomited and didn't get done, and then you have to get up 5 minutes later and finish, this is what we do to people. They need to get poison out of their system.
Wow.
And we only let them get one little puke out. We're like, okay, let's move on. Problem solved. Here's the answer. And there's still a belly full of poison in them that we've just not let them release. Curiosity releases poison, dude. Like that's what pausing does. It lets us just sit back and go like, okay, I'm not here to clean up this mess, but get rid of it. And I'm going to wait until you have nothing in you before I move on. And if it takes 5 minutes or it takes 10 minutes, I'm good.
Yeah.
Puke. Go ahead. And when you know that I'm not here, you should begin to know when I'm curious that this is about you, not about me. And you'll really know it when I pause and not try to give you answers.
And I'm willing to sit through as messy as you're about to be on this.
That's it. And if somebody is like that to you, do you want to get closer, draw in, or do you want to move away? Now, don't answer that because sometimes most people will push back and they'll go like, I'm good. Oh, okay. What they're telling you is I don't trust you yet. Maybe you've not practiced vulnerability to your people. You don't get what you don't practice.
Yeah.
If they don't model, you don't model it. What do you think they're going to like? Why do you think they're going to show up, be something different than you are? They're not. You set the tone. My wife and my son, as he was growing up, he watched me, and I'm sad to say I made some horrendous mistakes that I still live with today, regret. And the fact of the matter is, they watch the people who follow us watch us. And all of a sudden now, if I just know, okay, James is just going, I got 5 minutes, 10 minutes with James, and we schedule them like that. Hey, I got a call in 30 minutes. Can we go ahead and get this wrapped up? And the other thing is if people haven't seen you as a leader go like, you know what? If you've not vomited sometime in their presence, they ain't gonna vomit in front of you because we as leaders think we got to button ourselves down. We've got to be perceived as the magic man in the room. We got to have all the answers. They're coming to us and for one of us to go like, I don't know, James, it's foreign to us. We think it shows weakness in our leadership, and it actually shows the opposite. Strength and power in our leadership because we're empathetic enough and vulnerable enough to throw ourselves on them as well. They've seen it before their time has come. So when I get a lot of pushback, one of the things I know is they've not seen it modeled.
Yeah, they've not seen it modeled, or the person that's pushing back on you on even implement it doesn't do anything about that at all. They do not give space for someone to vomit, and they themselves have not.
Yeah. Hey, when's the last time you talked about vomiting on your show?
Not in this way. I really like the metaphor though, because I think that it clearly articulates what you're saying, that it will be messy action. It will be action that you don't know when ends. And if you're going to handle that for a friend, a child, a spouse, a dog, a cat, you have to be willing to sit in the nonsense.
That's right.
And stay.
Yeah.
And not move.
Right.
No matter how bad this goes, I'm going to take care of it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to wait until they're finished.
And James, all I ask of you is if you want me to be like that, you've got to let it go, brother. You got to let it go. And this is the environment. This is another thing about building a culture nobody wants to leave. Is there vomit in the room or not?
Yeah.
And if we see okay, I'm going to move on from my vomit expressions. But my point is, if this is what creates following, if I come in to use your leader and I say, James, look, man, I ain't want to be in your business more than you want me to be in your business, but I'm here, you're here, we're here together. And I've just noticed, I call this the wobble effect. I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about this, but there's a wobble effect as a leader kind of sees, like, have you ever done this where you know something's off, but you notice it, but you can't name it yet, and he just feels off? That's what this is.
It ends up coming out later some other way.
And worse
than it could have if we were just hit it
100%.
Yeah.
So when I feel somebody wobbling, like there's something off about them, I'm going to get curious. I'm not going to dictate. James, you just seem lazier, dude. Like is there something, are you sideways with somebody? I don't even go on with that kind of notion. I just go and say, James, I may be wrong, dude, but I've been around you for a year and it just feels like something is off.
Yeah.
Now, you can tell me I'm crazy if you want, but I know you, man.
Yeah.
I feel it. So I just want you to know what's happening. I'm interested, and if there's a way I can help, I will. Tell me what's going on, would you? And first, James, he's there one or two answers. No. And no doesn't mean no. It just means now.
Yeah. Yeah. In this moment. No.
Yeah, I'm good. Great. Great. So I'm going to let it go on. Just know, James, if and when something happens or changes and you want to talk about this, I'm here. The other side of this I use is that curiosity questions. If they give me a no, is like, then I'm going to be like, James, then could you talk to me a little bit about why we're seeing some of these lag indicators? Like kind of what, there's something got to be going on.
Can you walk me through why close rate has dropped
Right.
pretty substantially? Like, totally hear you. There's nothing going on in your life, but can you walk me through how we got here?
And you know why I do that? Because it gives them the opportunity to address it without even getting too personal about it. Like when I say stuff like, hey man, you were closing to 70%, now you're down to 20%. You tell me there's nothing wrong. Can you explain that to me?
Yeah. But you also give them the permission to not have to be 100% accurate on what they're saying. You give them permission to be messy.
That's it.
And not be judged by you and have to hide themselves. And
that's
like,
right.
Oh, you're going to put me in a place where like, I don't want to be seen like this because I'm strong and tough and I wear my exterior.
That's right. And I mean, to me, the biggest reason this doesn't work for most people is because people are afraid to tell the truth. Because what they think is their leaders are going to judge them.
Yep.
They're going to use it in a review. They're going to use something. They're just stacking up.
The vulnerability is going to be used as a weapon formed against them
100%.
to take them out in some
That's
regard.
right. And so they just shut up. And so what we do is we take these lag indicators and just ignore them, think maybe they'll go away or whatever we choose to do. And they don't. They just come back with more velocity because they weren't dealt with. And so if you can build a culture where that kind of conversation is happening, starting with curiosity, and you'll shut your mouth long enough to let your ears hear, things will change.
Okay. So with the perfect question recipe, we got curiosity and we got pause.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about clarity, because I think we don't put these, the roots are deep on these.
They're deep, baby. They're deep.
What about clarity?
So clarity is just no more guesswork.
Okay.
So I know what the real problem is. Now we got to put a plan.
Because you've offered enough times to be curious and
right.
pausing?
Yeah.
And maybe it didn't happen the first 25, but the 26, they were willing to speak.
But it might have been the first time. But whenever this 1 and 2 happen, eventually clarity will show up. And then now we can put a plan together. Until I know the question creates a level of clarity to where there's no question, this is the problem. Now we need to put with clarity the work that needs to be done to get by it. This is where you bring hope back into people, where you're just like, okay, I'm not asking you these questions just for my own good. I'm trying to correct the path and create pivot here so that we can get by this together.
Yeah.
Clarity is just about the new plan.
This vulnerability is going to be used to help you get what you want. And that's the only reason why we even go through it ahead of giving you the solution. So we don't give you a solution out of my own butt instead of what actually will help.
And you know what else does? This clarity is about our plan, not mine, our plan.
Like our plan that helps you.
And helps us.
Yeah.
So like you're a part of this.
Our plan that helps you to serve you first.
Right.
So that your vision, mission, values can fit within ours and we can grow together.
Right.
So service to employee first, not to leader.
100%. That's why this is in the sequence. It's like, this is about them. This is about them. Oh, now this is about us.
Yes.
If you still feel like, what this may do, this will be a little odd, but what this may do is make you as the owner realize you ain't got the soil prepared properly.
Which is good awareness to have.
100%.
As soon as possible.
James, I've realized this ain't a you problem. This is a me problem.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Now, you just vomited all over my shoes and it was really my fault, but I want you to know, I appreciate that. Now, here's a corrective plan that we can put together for us that's going to collectively move us forward. Who would not want that?
No. A boss taking ownership for the mess up that they've done to put you in the position and then being willing to have the humility to say, and now I'm going to do this to rectify what we've done. We will see where we are.
So corrective action looks more like, this is your fault. Now, how are you going to fix it? This strategy says, I don't care whose fault it was. We just got to come out with a clear plan.
We need to understand it is, and I need to listen a heck of a lot to figure out what's going on. But then it's our plan to correct. It's not, you're dumb, let's reprimand you. Here's this, here's that. Buy the book, let's throw you out of here.
So what would you get? What would you happen if you got this? Hey, hey, James, I'm just curious. Seems something off, and what's the problem? Well, the problem is, Reggie, you don't return my phone calls.
Yeah.
My leaders don't return my phone calls. It becomes clearly not a them issue. This is an us issue.
Yeah.
But even them being able to flush that out puts us on the right path. I don't care whose fault it is. I just know it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And you may get, oh, Reggie, this is all you think. Hey, well, I get that. What specifically, James, are you talking about? Reggie? Well, I can't think of any specific. All right, here's what I want to do. I want to pause this meeting, and what I would love for you to do is to get me real life examples, because if this is a me problem, I don't want that for you. I want to fix this. So can you give me an example? And I force them into all the way to the bottom of the belly. Like, just tell me what's going on here. It's you, Reggie. Oh, okay. And so what'll end up happening, people will be like, people who want to succeed, there's nothing that gets in their way, even me. The strategy is, I just want to know what's happening. And if it's my fault, then tell me. And we can even debate it. Is this really the reason? But the question that most owners don't want to face is, what if the curiosity question leads to it's a them problem, not the people problem?
Well, then they to fix this, they have to be willing to look in the mirror. And many are not. And that's why they're going to run away from you even saying any of this.
Exactly. They've taken the other strategy, and that is correction. It's just all about correction, not responsibility, not accountability, correction.
Yeah.
And that's easy.
Critique.
No doubt. It's criticism is what it is generally. And that's what people are used to. They're used to, like, oh, hey, I'd like to get 30 minutes with you, James. And James goes like, hey, you don't ever call me? Or we have had a conversation before, but the last one, it was just about correcting what I wasn't doing.
Yeah.
And so now they come in defensive, and now they're like, oh, okay, what's this all about? And the fact of the matter is, what this is all about is, we can't stay at this place. And if I'm causing something and you're creating something that's causing us to slow down our progress, let's just deal with it. This will not be mentioned. I'm not using this. I just need to know, because we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
That's the difference between this type of question and corrected ones.
Okay. So clarity is going to be about mapping that plan forward, regardless of what you uncover.
Doesn't matter.
Regardless of if it's you problem, a me problem, an us problem.
Let go.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Finding a way to correct it.
Yep.
Okay. Now I'm going to try to draw this.
Okay.
The first time was,
you'll do better than me, I promise you.
It was not that sexy, right? Yep. So Venn diagram.
Yep.
And we got technically 3 here.
Yep.
Right. And so in your diagram, what is over here on the right side?
Curiosity.
What about on this left side?
Pause, which ultimately leads us to clarity, which is what we all want. PQ, baby. PQ.
So at the intersection of all 3 of these, and it's in this order because chronologically you've got to get this, and then you've got to have this space for you to pause. And then we've got to map a plan here. And at the intersection of all those, we have
sequence is critical to this.
Okay.
Like, you can't just gibber it up, because it just gets equilibrium off.
You can't try to solve the problem before you listen.
Right.
Before you listen and before you give them a place to speak.
Yeah, 100%. So if people don't need me, if they'll do this, in terms of, like I've told you off air here, I get calls literally every day from people going like, dude, you know how to ask questions. So can you help me with this? And I pandered to that to a large degree, because I want to help people. But I want you to have the recipe so you can bake it yourself.
Yeah.
To where now, whether it's what are you going to call me when you and your wife aren't having a good conversation or things are going bad? I want you to be equipped. One of my jobs in my life right now is to equip others to be able to handle things, even if I'm not in the room.
Yep.
This ain't about me. This is about you and those other leaders out there who are wanting to unlock conversations that have been uncomfortable for them. This is the question and it's not a question, it's the recipe to get to the question that you need. Because if you go through this, things are gonna pop into your head. Don't go into these meetings with this preconceived notion about strategy and you guessing your way around. No, hey, James, look, man, this is what I'm feeling and I'm seeing and I'm sensing. And I want to ask a couple questions of you.
Yeah.
Just to help me get clear. that okay? Yeah. And we, boom.
Yeah.
And then James starts talking, and what we start doing is go, he's talking, and then we just jump in. Now pause. Just let him empty his system. And then we can put a plan together.
Yeah, I think it's interesting something that you said about curiosity there, though. We have to have permission from the opposite party
Yeah.
to ask the questions. They have to be in a place where they're willing to talk about it. So when you're saying, hey, I'm noticing, or it seems like, if they don't give you permission, it's kind of about extending that olive branch again and trying again. Yeah.
Yep.
Regardless of how many times you got to do it.
Right. And if you care enough about them and they're meaningful enough to your organization, you'll be patient. And if you're not, you won't.
Yeah.
And so, but to get to a place of clarity, that's my goal for everything. If I'm clear, dude, directions are easy for me.
Yeah.
But I get downtown Atlanta to Buckhead or in Buckhead area, and I'm like, what the heck? I mean, there's Piedmont this way, and there's Peachtree, 1,000 peach trees in this city. And I'm like, okay, I need guidance. Well, punch that address into GPS, and GPS takes me right where I'm going. That's what I do.
Traffic ahead, turn right.
Right. But this is a formula that will unlock the uncomfortable conversations that most people just don't have. And ultimately what happens when you don't have this question asked and these conversations, it shows up on your KPIs is there's lag and failure, and you don't have any answers for it. And your idea is what? Laziness?
Yeah, it's about criticism back to the person. Like, oh, you're not doing X.
Right.
It's got to be you because you're not thinking that it could be potentially.
So let me ask you this. If you're running a company and you could use this question when times come up of challenge, how do you think this affects the company you're building? What does it send a message about?
Well, I think it sends a message of collaboration, that you're on the same side of the table. There's not conflict. And in fact, collision, we may butt shoulders.
Yeah.
But we're not going to butt heads. We're not lowering our head to knock somebody out.
Right.
You're trying to work together, and you're going to have to figure it out, but you're on the same side of the table. You're rowing in the same boat.
So what people realize is there's not a problem too big that we can't talk about. That's what you want to get.
So long as you as a leader are willing to open the floor.
You got to lead, brother.
Yeah.
You got to lead.
Not manage, lead.
You just lead people. That is the perfect question.
Heck yeah. Anything else we're missing on this?
I think we're good.
Smooth. Okay. So what else we're going to look at here is a little bit of what some people want and a little bit of what some people need.
Yeah.
It is in my opinion, as we were talking through it, the hiring and retention framework that everybody is missing. And I want you to start from the front on the hiring side, and let's go all the way through retaining and building that.
This is such a great conversation piece because I think it made such a huge difference. So one of the things that I think we miss in hiring is finding people at the level of how they're motivated and how they show up every day. So let me take just a second with this. So if you've got somebody who comes in, what you want to know more than anything else is what can I get out of them the most based upon how they're built. If I'm hiring for a position and if they've got a pulse and a breath, I'll hire them and bring them in. It doesn't mean that role lines up with really who they are and what they want to do. So I get down to the motivational level, and there's tools that we use that help to identify what it is that they do best, what they want to do most, and how you can serve them in that area. That creates a contribution to the team that's needed. James, we've got to get to a point where we're hiring more specifically. Like we've just got to understand our organization wide enough to know where the holes are. And then we need to find people that get up every day and will do that till the breath is out of them because they love it. They want to do it.
They're inspired, not pushed.
Exactly. It's in their lane, dude. Like it's like what they're built for. And we do some assessment work on that just kind of helps identify what we call their motivation. Because here's what I know, how you're motivated will cause you to produce what we see in results, right? So your motivation, how you show up every day, I call it an internal wiring system. It's your internal operating system. If I can tap into that early and plug you into the right spot, I'm going to be able to be assured that I'm not doing this. Chances are anytime in the near future again. I want to look at my organization and I want to see what's missing and the kind of the requirements of it. Like you don't want a salesperson in production. All they want to do is sell it and then just move on. But what the salesperson needs to know is that the production people need certain things that create a completion of this job as opposed to you just selling it. They're good at selling. They're horrible at production. Find people who really are mindful of, man, I want to service, take care of this. I want to put the best product on I possibly can. And listen, most salespeople, that ain't the way they're built. They're just like, kill, 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 hunt, hunt, hunt.
Yeah.
And that's good.
Money, money, money.
But if all you have is a bunch of headhunters out there, people who just run around selling stuff, who's going to produce it so that we can collect?
Mm-hmm.
And so with me, the first step to a very specific hiring framework is knowing people's motivation.
Mm-hmm.
What motivates them to do the best possible for themselves and you that is even attainable, right? So what motivates you? It's your internal operating system. That's what I want to know. So like, for example, there are a bunch of different categories, but I'll give you a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
I am what they call a make sense guy. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how articulate you are. I don't care how much systems and process you have. If you tell me something that requires my attention and it doesn't make sense, I freeze. So there's some meetings you want me in and some meetings you don't want me in. But now you know me and you know, like, okay, this is conceptual still. We know we're trying to figure things out. Reggie being in this room probably doesn't work for him or us. There's no contribution because it just needs to make sense. So let's get this thing complete, or at least close to complete, and then we'll gravitate him in. I mean, we'll move him into this conversation.
Yeah.
That's just smart, dude. It's just smart. The other thing that we failed to do is what we do that's a failure, in my opinion, is we hire like in kind. I see it in organizations constantly.
Yeah.
An owner gets in this zone to where they are like really bombing with a certain, I mean, not bombing in a bad way, bombing in a good way with a certain type of hire.
Yeah.
And so they see that hire and they think that's what's going to cause us to win.
We just need 50 of them.
Exactly. Or now we got 50 of them, but none of them are actually doing anything but selling. And I've got carcasses laying here of deals done that I can't collect on because I don't have any production people or back office people or whatever it may be. So a strategic plan to recruiting, I think, is critically important. And there are two things that matter. Number one, what's your motivation? Number two, what's the needs of our organization? That's the first thing. Yeah.
Okay.
And the second.
Yeah, easy enough, man. Easy enough. Pretty simple.
Simple. You got to have tools to be able to assess, but you've got to be comfortable hiring beyond what you feel comfortable with.
Yep. Hiring beyond comfort.
Yeah.
I like it. Is that the entirety of the hiring side? That's it? You get people that have the motivations where they'll go above and beyond in their zone of genius to do the things that fire them up without you having to push that serve the organization.
No doubt. And there's only two pieces to me, the motivation and then the need inside the organization.
Yeah.
Are we filling the spots that are actually needed? Or are we just filling more spots that are already covered?
Yeah. Okay. So that's what people want, right? Because they're like, oh, how can I hire better?
Yeah.
I'm in this ret factory. I'm like churning out, what have you.
Yeah.
But now what do we need to retain?
So what we need to retain is the ability to pair people properly. This is my opinion.
Pair people.
Pair people.
P-A-I-R.
Yeah. P-A-I-R.
Okay.
And so, what that means is there's some people who work in great flow and then some who can just create friction by showing up in the room. Yeah. Like they can't get along with, and I don't think that it's that people can't get along with people. I think you're pairing them with the wrong people to get along with.
Yeah.
And so as we see motivations, there are some motivations that do this.
Yep.
Like, and you hire them and you bring them in, you think they're killer, but if you pair them with the wrong person, again, back to my concept about elements.
Yeah.
Oxygen, hydrogen work good together, but put two pieces of hydrogen together and see what you have. An explosion.
Yeah.
That's what happens inside a business. Our pairings do one of two things. They either create flow, they create friction.
Right on.
And so you're going to be equipped to have the details of how this person shows up. And then, like, for example, a tool that we have, it just kind of maps out what's potential interaction that creates flow and what's potential that creates friction. And it doesn't mean we can't put those friction parts together, but what it means is we're going to have to teach them and train them how to come to the conversation differently so that they can produce something they can apart.
It also, if I'm understanding your framework correctly, you're also going to put them in positions with the friction points where it's a collision, where we're intentionally doing it for the betterment of both of us, not for criticism, not for something else that's not serving the org.
And that's where you have to preach outcome. When we go into a conversation, what is the agreed upon outcome we're looking for? Not who's right and who's wrong, because they'll fight to the death over that. what we're going to figure out is, though we feel different about things, how do we reach enough agreement where we can go produce something out of this conversation, even though we have differences that benefits everybody? That's a step of maturity most organizations never see. It's because they just look at differences and go like, just keep them apart, like we talked about earlier. No, I want them together. I go into organizations all the time and I create friction. You don't know what you really have until pressure's applied. You just don't.
You don't know how good of a salesperson you are until you don't have layouts.
Yeah, exactly. And all of a sudden now you're looking at, I got a room full of people here. They're all individually talented, but I want to make for sure that these people, I'm creating interactions that have profitability to them for them and us, but we're not going to avoid those differences. And so sometimes I'll just put two people together I know are friction bound just to kind of see how they respond. And then we teach the shared language of understanding about how to handle things, and we move forward. You also got to be careful about the type of personality that you put if you've got similar personalities. For example, there's a trait that they call better way. And better way are just people who iterate constantly. They can't never set, nothing's good enough. Well, you put two better ways in the room together and they never come up with an answer because they're always one-upping each other. You just got to be careful.
How about this? Well, how about this? Well, how about
exactly. This will make it better. And all of a sudden, it never. So you've got to, pairing is so critical to productivity. And that's what I think creates retention, where people start seeing like, oh, what I am is good, but what we are is better.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. So assuming if people can stop hyper recruiting, and they can use this framework to hire correctly with the appropriate attributes and the why behind, and they can foster that sense of community inside and culture to retain them, then you have world-class organizations, right?
Yeah, you got a culture nobody wants to leave. Like, I can individually find my success, but boy, there's another gear here. And that gear here is these people are smart enough to put me with the right other person or the group of other people to produce things I can't do by myself. That's one powerful notion. When I walk into an organization, I start talking about your individual capacity and capability. Nobody thinks that they need anybody. They're just like, dude, I can run my path and I'll make $1 million. We're good.
Yeah.
What I do know is when I hit 50 years old, something happened to me. I always felt like I could outsell my problems. I knew I could. And the reason I knew that is because I did.
Yeah.
Something happened to me when I hit that point in my life where I realized the juice ain't what it was.
Yeah.
Well, when the juice ain't what it was, how do you continue on? Well, you have to keep doing, but the greatest thing that you could possibly do is to bring somebody alongside with you, pair with you, start gaining from their resource, theirs from your experience.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we have gone beyond the barrier of wearying and worn out and no more resource, because everybody has a limit, and pairing eliminates the limit.
I love it. I love it. If somebody is in a position where they think any of this resonated, I mean, from the beginning of what people are telling you all the way through the problems or anything else, where can they find you? How can they work with you? How do they get in touch?
So if people want to reach out to me, I'm easy to find, but I want you to do some work before you get to reaching out to me. Yeah. I don't want you just to feel inspired. I don't want you to feel motivated. I want you to feel pain. And if there's something that's hit you in these people today on this call, that's where I want to talk about. You probably, some of the people seeing this are uncomfortable at a conversation they need to have. And maybe they just want to bring a solution to me and let's talk through it and start diagnosing kind of where they are. We do this slow and methodically, and with much carefulness. We're just very careful about trying to get too fast into any organization. I just want to start with a conversation. So if any of this has resonated with them, just pick up the phone. We'll have a conversation. And I promise you this, I'm not going to have 17 different offers. We just do things pretty standard the same way. But here's what I want people to know. Everything we do has a layer of customization to it because everybody is different, even though their situations seem the same. And we just really kind of come in and help cultivate that culture that we help you build that will put you in a place of advantage.
Yeah.
Where there's a consistency and there's a heartthrob that's shared inside of your organization where people can depend on each other. They can trust each other. They're vulnerable with each other. And ultimately they wake up one day and they've done more than they ever thought possible. If that's what they're looking for, I'm a good phone call.
Heck yeah. I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you, pal. It's good to be here.
Absolutely.